Chapter 13. Geniuses in 1 second remember love go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Zhang Emo froze in place. She turned around and looked straight at him, her eyes pleading. Qin Yu took out a storage bag and took out a jade bottle. He opened the bottle and poured a pill into his hand. Is this enough? Zhang Qingming's breathing deepened. The wrinkles on his face trembled. It was clear he was excited. Enough! Enough! Of course it was enough. This was what Qin Yu used to break through to Foundation establishment. There were still 4 left, all of them top-grade pills. My martial talent is poor, so I had to rely on the Foundation establishment pill that Grandmaster bestowed upon me to break through. Since the Zhang family needs it, there is no harm in trading one. After today, little friend is an honored guest of the Zhang family, Zhang Qingming solemnly said. Zhang Mo's hands trembled. She received the top-grade Foundation establishment pill from Qin Yu and carefully put it away. Then she lowered her head and bowed. After leaving behind all the gifts, the Zhang family left. As Qin Yu was about to close the courtyard doors, he saw a beautiful figure standing on the side of the road. He cupped his hands together and asked, "Miss Ning, is there something you need?" Ning Ling lightly said, "Amor has already spoken. As long as I can obtain the pill, she will agree to any condition. I have a deep understanding of her, and since she has spoken, she will never go back on her word. It seems that fellow Taoist Qin has missed a great opportunity." Qin Yu forced a smile. "Miss Ning, please don't make fun of me. Miss Zheng can speak of this matter, but I cannot take it seriously. Otherwise, would I really think that the Zhang family's old ancestor is just a decoration? I am already satisfied that I can exchange this for a bit of favor." Ning Ling looked at him, her eyes deep and profound, as if she could see through everything, as if nothing could hide from her eyes. Just as Qin Yu was about to lose his composure, she suddenly said, "This little sister has an aura restraining law formula. It isn't too profound, but it comes from the same source as the aura restraining jade pendant. When used together, even a nascent soul cultivator would find it hard to detect. To blind a nascent soul's divine sense, this law formula clearly wasn't as simple as she made it out to be." Qin Yu looked at the jade slip in front of him that was held between 2 jade fingers. The simple texture of the jade slip seemed to have a different kind of beauty to it. Subconsciously, he recalled the first time he saw her, the bloodstains under her skirt. His heart warmed and he blushed. Many thanks, Miss Ning." He was careful not to touch her fingers as he took the jade slip into his hand. As he thought about how he had inexplicably seen a girl's private matters and how he had put away the law formula today, he suddenly felt a bit guilty. He subconsciously asked, "Miss Ning, how are your injuries?" Ning Ling smiled. "Thank you for your concern, fellow Taoist Qin. I feel much better." Qin Yu nodded. "Don't let your wound come in contact with water. Don't move too much." His voice suddenly stopped. He looked up and saw that the girl's eyes had narrowed, a cold light surging in them. "How did Brother Qin know that I have wounds on my body?" Qin Yu's forehead was covered in sweat. He said, "Smell, smell. I am naturally sensitive to the smell of blood. Although Miss Ning handled it well, I was still able to sense it. Cough, cough, it's getting late. I have to serve the Grandmaster in alchemy. Miss Ning, farewell." She turned and left. Although her back was straight, no matter how one looked at it, she still seemed to be in a panic. Ning Ling bit her lips. As she watched him close the courtyard door without looking back, anger and shame appeared on her face. Finally she sighed. Qin Yu had cleanly pushed away this matter. Did she really have to stick to him and say that he had seen her under her skirt? Amoa was right. This fellow was truly hateful to the extreme. Ning Ling stamped her feet, revealing a rare shyness of a young girl. Then she turned and left. After her skirt disappeared, several figures appeared outside the small courtyard. They glanced at each other, all of them able to see the admiration in each other's hearts. He was truly worthy of being the Grand Master's disciple. When it came to matters between men and women, he was also outstanding. He was actually able to stir up the thoughts of this proud daughter of heaven. They couldn't help but admire him. Shaking their heads, the several people left with looks of envy on their faces. Without accident, the Grand Master's disciple and fairy Ningling's charm soon filled the air. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. This matter spread throughout East Stream Town, causing the eyes of countless young elites to turn red with envy. If it weren't for the fear of the Grand Master's reputation, then this small courtyard would have already been razed to the ground by the angry young men. Things had always been like this, with one thing leading to another. After receiving the grace of the pill, Zhang Zhongxiu had smoothly broken through to the Foundation establishment realm and saved his life. Thus, Qin, you could only step forward to greet him. I will never forget Brother Qin's graciousness of bestowing the pill upon me. If there is a chance in the future, I will surely repay you. Zhang Zhongxiu had the appearance of a middle-aged man. His white hair didn't affect his temperament at all, making him seem even more elegant and elegant. If he were a young girl in love, she would have long since been captivated by him. But he didn't have the slightest bit of a feminine air to him. His every movement was open and honest, and as he spoke, one could naturally feel his sincerity. Qin, you didn't dare to be negligent. He earnestly bowed in return. Brother Zhang is too serious. The Foundation establishment pill was obtained by the Zhang family through an exchange, so I don't dare to take credit for it. Love go small, say nekku. Zhang Zhongxiu smiled, no longer speaking about this matter. But looking at his appearance, it was clear he would remember this in his heart. He looked up into the depths of the courtyard and sighed. I really envy Brother Qin, to be able to study alchemy at the side of the Grandmaster. I wonder if I will ever have such a lucky chance in my life. Qin, you didn't know how to respond. He knew that this person in front of him was someone who was truly obsessed with alchemy, and what he said was the truth. But the crux of the matter was that there was no such thing as an alchemy grandmaster. No matter how sincere Zhang Zhongxiu was, there was no way he could enter the grandmaster's tutelage. Seeing Qin Yu remain silent, Zhang Zhongxiu thought he was in a difficult position. He smiled and said, Brother Qin, there is no need to think too much about it. I was just sighing with emotion for a moment. Moreover, the world is vast. Even if I miss out on a single grandmaster, there will still be countless other opportunities. I have already packed my belongings. Today, I will head to Immortal Eclipse Valley and enter their tutelage to study alchemy. If there is a chance, Brother Qin must come to Immortal Eclipse Valley and we can meet again. As he spoke, he laughed and walked out. As the sunlight shined down on his back, he seemed even more carefree and open. Qin Yu stood up and sent him off, a smile on his face. People were mysterious like this. Even though they had only met for the first time, he still felt incomparably close to them. This Zhang Zhongxiu was a true and honest person. If there was a lucky chance, he would be able to see him again in the future. Half a day after Zhang Zhongxiu left, Zhang Mo appeared in front of him. Qin Yu felt a bit uncomfortable with her elegant and polite demeanor. In particular, those watery eyes of hers that occasionally glanced at him, the faint fluctuations within them causing his heart to race. Big Brother Qin, did little uncle come to bid his farewells to you? Do you know, I am happier than anyone that he can recover. Otherwise, I would have to live in guilt for the rest of my life. I was rude before, so I hope Big Brother Qin doesn't mind if I offended you. As Zhang Mo spoke to hear, a faint blush appeared on her face. A top-grade Foundation establishment pill is incomparably precious, and the gifts from my family cannot be compared to it. If Big Brother Qin has any other conditions, then I will represent the Zhang family without any objections. This didn't seem right at all. She would represent the Zhang family without any objections, but the only one she could truly represent was herself. Qin Yu's mouth was dry. The Zhang family's gifts are already enough, and I have already reached foundation establishment. A top-grade foundation establishment pill is useless to me. Miss Tsing does not need to worry about it and let this matter pass." A trace of disappointment flashed in Zhang Emo'er's eyes, but soon they brightened. Big Brother Qin was truly a modest gentleman. They chatted for a bit longer. Just as Qin Yu was nearly unable to withstand her burning gaze, the Zhang family sent someone to summon him, as if an honored guest had arrived. Zhang Emo reluctantly stood up and bid her farewells. Qin Yu saw her out the door. "Big Brother Qin, how long will you be staying in East Stream Town?" Zhang Emo suddenly asked. Qin Yu shook his head. "That will depend on the Grandmaster's intentions. But he once mentioned that it would be at most 2 months. It shouldn't be too long." He was about to leave. Recently, the fame of an alchemy Grandmaster had become increasingly resounding. If he didn't leave soon, he feared some accident would occur. "Ah, you're leaving." Zhang Emo suddenly felt anxious. This chapter isn't over. Please turn the page. She discovered that she had no grounds to be anxious about him, and her mood immediately fell. Qin Yu had a calm expression. He could sense the changes in the mood of this woman in front of him. But today, everything was built upon a lie. There was no alchemy Grandmaster at all, and he was only an outer court disciple of the Eastern Mountain sect who had obtained a bit of good fortune. He couldn't have such thoughts, otherwise he would harm himself and others. Suddenly, Qin Yu's heart trembled and the hairs on his back stood up. In the next moment, 2 terrifying explosions rang out at almost the same time. It was like a sudden clap of thunder, stirring up boundless shock waves. Sand and stones flew into the air, and several small trees on the street were helplessly snapped in half. The treetops were swept away, and in the blink of an eye, all of the branches and leaves shattered, turning into powder that filled the skies. The world was dark. At this time, if someone were to stand high in the air, they would discover that the 2 largest and most luxurious residences in East Stream Town had already been reduced to ruins. At the very center were 2 massive pits with fierce cracks spreading outwards. Whoosh! There was a shrill sound of breaking air. Qin Yu grabbed onto Zhang Emo and flew up to the roof. In the next moment, a large stone smashed down on the 2 of them. If they were any slower, even if they didn't die with their foundation establishment cultivation, they would still lose several layers of skin. Just as he was about to lift his hand to wipe away the cold sweat on his forehead, Zhang Emo struggled free. She cried out, "My home! It's my home!" Qin Yu's complexion changed. The Zhang family had managed East Stream Town for generations, and they also had a golden core powerhouse standing guard. Who would dare to attack them? He soon found the answer. Bang! Black, demonic energy shot into the skies, thick and viscous like ink as it emitted a dense aura. The green-clothed demon carried a corpse and thrust his hand into the abdomen. Flesh and blood rained down as he pulled out a golden core. The green-clothed demon licked his lips and cackled. He opened his mouth and bit down on the corpse's neck. As his throat moved, the corpse withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Demonic Path Cultivator, the one who died, was the Kong family's old ancestor. Qin Yu's mind buzzed, and his complexion became extremely ugly. The Southern Empire was located in a remote area and had never been valued by the immortal and demonic paths. Thus, even though the immortal sect had shouted out the slogan of exterminating demons and defending the Tao countless times, there had never been a true war between immortals and demons. But today he had actually bumped into a great stroke of luck. Great-grandfather Zhang Emo cried out in alarm, nearly fainting. Qin Yu supported her. He said in a low voice, "Senior Zhang is fine." Before his voice fell, 2 figures shot into the skies from the ruins of the Zhang family residence. The black-robed old man cried out pitifully as one of his arms flew off. Zhang Qingming's complexion was pale. He grasped a long sword in his hand and swept it over the Zhang family. Even if the Zhang family still had their bloodline outside, Today's calamity had nearly destroyed the Zhang family. 7 Slaughter Demons Sect. How bold of you! You dare to tear apart our agreement and invade the Southern Empire? I swear that I will not rest until you are dead. Just as he roared out, 12 billowing demonic energies erupted. They formed 12 different directions and sealed off East Stream Town, blocking out all auras so that no one outside could sense them. A youth walked out from the black energy. He was incomparably handsome, and his lips were scarlet red. His long black hair hung down his back. If he were to change into women's clothes, he would be a beauty that could topple kingdoms. At this time, the corners of his lips were curled up, revealing a small dimple. But, in stark contrast to his warm and mellow expression, there was no warmth in his pitch-black eyes. Demonic Path's little monarch. The crowd cried out in alarm. Liang Taizu cupped his hands together. Just what sort of character is Senior Zhang? To think that he would try to use such a method to secretly transmit information. This junior is truly disappointed. Since the demonic path only sent a few people here today, this junior can only seal away his aura in order to avoid being disturbed by outsiders. I apologize for disappointing Senior. His eyes swept around. Everywhere he passed, everyone was shocked. The smile on his face became even brighter. Ningling, you are the woman that I have taken a liking to. Even if you flee to the ends of the earth, you won't be able to escape me. Obediently return to the 7 Slaughter Demon sect with me and become my dual cultivation Tao companion. Otherwise, Liang Taizu's fingers swept out. These people will all die. Chapter 14. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. A mere demonic path evil creature dares to encroach on junior apprentice Sister Ning? You have no idea of death or danger. The Sky Cloud Sword Sect's chief disciple's face was as cold as ice. He stepped forwards, and the sword on his back held out, aiming straight for Liang Taizu's head. Liang Taizu sneered. With a flick of his sleeves, a dark light shot out, covering the sword and causing it to instantly darken. The sword sect's chief disciple spat out a mouthful of blood, panic-stricken. Filthy demonic light. He formed hand seals again and again. The sword hummed as it tried to flee. Liang Taizu laughed. This sword, I will accept it. He lifted his hand and touched the sword. His fingertips turned pitch black, and the sword seemed to be struck by lightning. It violently jumped and then fell silent, the light and spiritual energy dissipating. The sword sect's chief disciple spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was deathly pale, and his eyes were filled with endless hatred and fear. His life sword had been destroyed, and his cultivation had been destroyed. His chances of restoring it were slim, and he was nearly crippled. The people around him were horrified and kept their mouths shut. The sword sect's chief disciple was a top character amongst them, but he had been crippled in a single exchange. If it were them, they would have been in an even worse state. Just how terrifying is the demonic path's little prince. He was actually able to instantly kill the Skycloud Sword Sect's chief disciple. Invincible amongst the Foundation establishment realm, it really isn't a lie. This person is terrifying. I fear that under the Golden Core realm, there is no one that can defeat Liang Taizu. With loud shouts, the young elites of Little Olive Town revealed looks of horror. The Demon Buster Alliance hadn't even been formed yet, and they had already been scared witless by this person. Liang Taizu reared his head back and laughed. For all these years, your so-called righteous immortal sects have placed countless scapegoats on my demonic path. Today, I have brought my subordinates here to let you understand what it means to say that a loose tongue can cause trouble. The green-clothed demon flew forwards, his aura as deep as hell. Young master, please accept this golden pill. Once I kill Old Man Zhang, I will send you another one. Li Yunma, Old Man Zhang is mine. If you dare to interfere, I will kill you. The black-clothed old man flew into a rage. Useless thing! Even with the demonic treasure bestowed upon you by the young master, you still had your arm cut off after a sneak attack. You have disgraced my 7 slaughter demon sect. Li Yunma sneered. You're courting death. The black-robed old man was enraged. Liang Taizu remained expressionless. Enough. He was only at the Foundation establishment realm. But the moment he spoke, the 2 golden core devils lowered their heads at the same time, their faces filled with reverence. Why don't you take a look at the time? You're making such a ruckus in front of Senior Zhang. He took the blood-stained golden core and licked his scarlet lips. Junior cultivates a devil art and lacks a few golden cores to assist me. Senior Kong is of noble character and unquestionable integrity. So I hope Senior Zhang can also follow my good advice and help Junior. Zhang Qingming raised his sword. He was so angry that he actually laughed. My golden core is in my stomach. If you want it, feel free to come and take it. Liang Taizu laughed. Senior Zhang's heroic spirit soars to the heavens. Li Yunma, did you hear me? Zhang Qianbei has already invited you, so you will act on my behalf and take out his Jindan. Li Yunma complied. Yes. He raised his hand and a black skeleton appeared. This skeleton's eyes ignited with green flames, and its mouth emitted a cruel cackle. In the blink of an eye, it grew to over 10 feet tall and shot straight towards Jing Chengzi. Zhu. Before Zhang Yamo could speak, Qin Yu covered her mouth. If you don't want to be taken as a hostage, then don't speak. Zhang Yamo immediately reacted. She bit her lips, tears streaming down her face. Qin, you didn't bother with comforting her. His thoughts raced. The demonic path must have made ample preparations to invade the heavenly south. Otherwise, if news of this were to leak out, none of the people from the 7 slaughter demon sect would be able to escape. In this world, the only ones that could keep secrets were the dead. In addition to the sneak attacks on the Zhang and Kong families, this was an even greater indication of the demonic path cultivators' killing intent. Qin Yu's heart sank. Not having strength was truly pitiful. Even if he could weave an identity that made others revere him, it was useless against demonic path cultivators. A single finger was enough to place him in a life or death situation. What should he do? As Qin Yu's thoughts raced, the battle between Zhang Qingming and Li Yunma had entered a white-hot stage. A great golden flag appeared above Zhang Qingming's head. As it waved, countless golden tornadoes flew out, cutting through the air and emitting muffled sounds. The black skeleton cackled without end. It spat out a massive amount of demonic energy, transforming into demon phantoms wielding sabers and spears that rushed forwards. 2 great magic tools bombarded each other. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. With the support of a golden core's magic power, it erupted with an astonishing might. In just a moment, half of East Streamtown was destroyed. The 2 seemed evenly matched, but the demonic path still had a golden core that hadn't attacked yet. Even if he had lost an arm, a golden core was still a golden core. It was more than enough to suppress all the cultivators in East Streamtown. Suddenly, a deep roar echoed out from the southeast demonic energy. A brilliant divine light erupted and Ningling was sent flying backwards, her face pale. Liang Taizu laughed. My beauty, you finally appeared. I can't wait any longer. I want to take you to the depths of hell with me. Ningling remained expressionless. If you want me, then take me yourself. Liang Taizu said, goading me. All right, this Lang Jun will personally capture you. He punched out his fist. Cruel demonic energy erupted, condensing into the head of a wolf. But no one imagined that this powerful strike was only a pretense. Liang Taizu's fingers moved and a black chain held out. Ningling seemed to have already expected this. When the wolf head appeared, she didn't meet it head-on. Instead, she rapidly drew backwards, just in time to avoid the black chain's sneak attack. She lifted a hand, and a white beam of freezing cold energy held out from her slender, jade-like fingers. Liang Taizu laughed, not embarrassed in the slightest. You are truly worthy of being the woman I've taken a liking to. If you were to give in so easily, then I wouldn't like you so much. He calmly dodged to the side, avoiding the beam of light. Then his mind stirred. The wolf head tore out, cold and ruthless. Demonic path cultivators fought with life or death. Even towards the woman they liked, they didn't show the least bit of mercy. Ningling was already injured, but she was gradually suppressed. She barely managed to withstand the wolf head's attacks. Liang Taizu's several sneak attacks had left several wounds on her body, causing her white clothes to be dyed red with blood. Liang Taizu's eyes blazed with a blazing heat, as if he wanted to swallow her whole. But at this time he suddenly cried out. His black robes erupted with billowing demonic energy, blocking the eruption of ice-cold strength. Even so, his entire body and the demonic energy around him were frozen into a block of ice, completely sealed within. Ningling's eyes instantly turned sharp. Every finger she thrust out was a part of her supernatural power. Now that she had obtained such a good opportunity, how could she miss it? She leapt forwards and thrust a finger towards the ice. But soon she had no choice but to stop. She lifted a hand to collide with the demonic energy. With a light cough, she floated backwards, her face paler than before. The black-clothed old man struck the ice. It instantly cracked and shattered. Liang Taizu stepped forwards, slapping him across the face. You unruly thing. Do you think you can touch my beauty? He lifted a hand and brushed off the ice, a look of praise on his face. Ningling, I almost died under your hands. I like you even more now. Be a good little girl, and don't attack me again. Otherwise I can only have Hei Nu capture you. I can't bear to do that, so don't force me. The black-clothed old man cackled. Young master, this old servant will be careful. I will not harm the young madam. He didn't seem to care about that slap at all. Ningling shouted out, shameless. Liang Taizu traced his face. I am a demonic cultivator. In your eyes, don't I always go back on my word? Moreover, I know that I am not your match, so how could I possibly stubbornly persist? Dying to save face and suffering is something unique to you immortal sex. It is not something I can learn. Ningling turned and flew away. It was useless to use words to deal with Liang Taizu. Any more words would just be a waste. At this time her eyes brightened. She turned and landed on the roof. Big Sister Ning, Zhang Mo, threw herself into her arms and began to cry. Ningling patted her and looked over. Qin Yu frowned and gently shook his head. Ningling's eyes dimmed. The two of them finished their conversation in a single breath of time. Zhang Mo didn't seem to notice at all. She continued to sob. Big Sister Ning, what do we do? Will great-grandfather have an accident? Ningling comforted her. Don't worry. Senior Zheng's cultivation is deep and he also has treasures in his hands. He will be fine. Qin Yu sighed inwardly. If these words were true, then why was there so much worry on her face? Only Zhang Mo, who was in a state of chaos, couldn't see it. Hearing this, he calmed down and revealed a hopeful expression. His heart chilled, as if he were being locked onto by a vicious beast. He looked up and saw Liang Taizu looking at him with a warm and gentle smile. Brat, you dare to flirt with my woman? Do you think I am blind? Today, you will definitely die a miserable death. Qin Yu remained expressionless. I'll wait for you. Liang Taizu laughed. If you have the guts, then I'll let you live a little longer. He waved his hand and shouted. Li Yunma, it's been long enough. Ningling had already guessed Liang Taizu's character. Since this person had spoken, he would never give up. She apologetically said, Fellow Taoist Qin, I've implicated you. Qin Yu waved his hand. The demonic sect never planned on letting anyone off today. Even if Miss Ning wasn't here, the result would still be the same. Ah! With a miserable cry, Zhang Qingming was sent tumbling backwards with blood gushing out of his nose and mouth. A pitch-black palm print appeared on his back. Li Yunma was enraged. Hey Nu, who allowed you to interfere? I can immediately kill him. Hey Nu sneered. The young master has already grown impatient. He turned around, his eyes cold. Old Ghost Zhang, you cut off my arm, and I'll return a palm strike to you. We're even now. Zhang Mo screamed. Great-grandfather! Her face was filled with panic. Big Brother Qin, I beg you to ask the Grandmaster to help save great-grandfather. So it's the daughter of the Zhang family. I've long heard of Miss Mo's beauty, and now that I see you today, you are truly extraordinary. Liang Taizu was all smiles. I never thought that besides Ningling, there would be such harvests. From today onwards, you will be my concubine, and I will treat you well. He Nu stepped forwards, his feet billowing with demonic energy. To be my young master's concubine is a blessing you have accumulated over several lifetimes. Hurry up and tidy up your appearance, and follow me. Zhang Mo was terrified. Big Brother Qin, save me, save me. Qin Yu's body stiffened like iron. Beneath the gaze of the golden core, the magic power within his body nearly froze over, and his entire body seemed to rust. He lowered his head, avoiding Zhang Mo's gaze and remaining silent. Zhang Mo's eyes widened, her face filled with disbelief. A beauty shedding tears makes me feel sorry for her. Yet you brat aren't moved at all. I have a whole new level of respect for you. No wonder you were accepted by the Grandmaster as a disciple. Liang Taizu's eyes flashed. How about you give it a try? If the Grandmaster asks, then I can let Miss Zhang go. I can even discuss Senior Zhang's golden core. Qin Yu's heart chilled. From the moment Liang Taizu started paying attention to him, he had felt restless in his heart. This was why he had responded so forcefully. Now he was almost certain that this person had some ulterior motive, and it was likely that he was aiming for the alchemy Grandmaster that didn't exist behind him. If this matter were to be exposed, all that awaited him was death. A chill seeped into his heart. Qin Yu's expression didn't change at all. He lightly said, If you are willing to intervene, then the Grandmaster will naturally ask. There is no need for me to say anything. Liang Taizu laughed. You are truly worthy of being the Grandmaster's disciple. You are indeed sensible. I will give the Grandmaster some face and take back the words I said I would kill you. Brat, before I change my mind, screw off. Qin Yu didn't say a word. He turned and leapt down. Zhang Mo was stunned. As she watched him leave without hesitation, her heart gradually turned icy cold. Great-grandfather said that if the Grandmaster trusted and valued you so much, then you must be his inheritor. You could have clearly asked to save me, saved my great-grandfather, just like how you saved my little uncle. So why didn't you say anything? Why? Hold on. He Nu shouted out loud. He turned and bowed. Young master, your demonic arts cultivation has reached a critical juncture. If you had a top-grade spirit-protecting pill, then you would be able to guarantee your safety. Since you met the Grandmaster today, why don't you ask for one? Liang Taizu hesitated for a moment. A top-grade pill can only be encountered through a stroke of fate, much less a rare spirit-protecting pill. Even an alchemy Grandmaster might not be able to refine one. He Nu had a respectful expression. You should at least try. The Grandmaster can refine top-grade pills. Zhang Mo suddenly said. Not too long ago, the Zhang family exchanged for a top-grade foundation establishment pill. Qin Yu paused. Liang Taizu's eyes blazed with heat. Miss Zhang, are you speaking the truth? Zhang Mo's complexion was frighteningly pale, but her expression was calm. Of course. Big Sister Ning asked the Grandmaster to refine a top-grade, enduring glamour pill a while ago, so she also knows about this. Liang Taizu swept his eyes over Ningling's icy cold expression and laughed. Good, good. Miss Sung is my lucky star. Even before becoming a concubine, you have given me such a pleasant surprise. He turned and looked at Qinyu. Brat, report to the Grandmaster. No matter what, please refine a top-grade spirit-protecting pill for me. Remember, if the Grandmaster does not allow it, then I will believe that you are the one causing trouble. If so, then I will incinerate you with demonic flames. Qin, you didn't even turn his head. He coldly said, Very well. He stepped into the courtyard and closed the doors. Chapter 15. Genius 1. Second, remember if you want to go. Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Zhang Mo's expression was complex, but it soon turned icy cold. If the Zhang family was finished, then she would also be ruined. No one knew just what sort of heaven-shaking changes had occurred in her heart in such a short period of time. Ningling shouted out loud, Mo, you are biting the hand that feeds you. You have gone too far. Zhang Mo bit her lips. He deserves it. If he doesn't save us, he can forget about escaping unscathed. Ningling's eyes turned cold and indifferent. Fellow Taoist Qin has no connection with the Zhang family. Helping them is a matter of friendship. Not helping them is his duty. Moreover, this isn't something he can decide to begin with. You have already drawn a great disaster to him, so how could you not know it? Mo, you're already possessed and won't listen to me. I hope you won't regret it in the future. Beads of blood dripped down from the corners of Zhang Mo's lips. A trace of sadness appeared in the depths of her eyes, and her complexion became even paler. Creak! With a soft sound, the courtyard's door opened, and a black-robed figure slowly walked out. The 7 Slaughter Demon sect actually dared to covet this old man? You guys have become much bolder these past few years. His voice was deep and hoarse. There were no fluctuations of strength mixed in, but it naturally contained enough confidence and strength. Liang Taizu's breath quickened. The black-robed figure's eyes fell upon him, aloof and indifferent, filled with the aura of a superior being. He had only felt this kind of feeling from his teacher. His eyes flickered as he cupped his hands and said, I was rude in the first place. Please forgive me, Master. He Nu turned around and shielded Chu Li behind him. His eyes were cold, and a powerful aura assaulted Chu Li's face. Who? His black robe fluttered, even though there was no wind. Grandmaster's voice was calm. Offending this old man, even if you are of noble birth, you must still accept punishment. In consideration of my past relationship with the demonic path, I will give you a chance. Whether it is you or the person in front of you, as long as you can withstand the strength of my finger, I will no longer pursue this matter and will also give you a top-grade spirit-protecting pill. Liang Taizu's eyes brightened. Grandmaster, are you serious? This old man's words carry enormous weight. The mountains and rivers cannot be moved. Liang Taizu laughed. Good. Then I ask Grandmaster to give some pointers to my servant. Bang! The demonic power in He Nu's body was boiling, and black, demonic patterns appeared on the surface of his body. He had already exerted his demonic power to the limit. He shouted, You and I are both gold core cultivators. This old man wants to know, what can Grandmaster's finger do to me? Li Yunma's heart calmed. He Nu had reached large success in the chaotic heaven devil arts. If he stimulated it with all his strength, then even a nascent soul cultivator would find it difficult to kill him. Grandmaster indifferently said, You come. He Nu's heart trembled slightly. Alchemists were not to be trifled with. This was a well-known fact, but now the arrow was on the bowstring and had to be released. He took a deep breath and pushed his demonic arts to 120%. Every step he took caused the earth to shake and the sky to shake, leaving behind deep footprints and spreading cracks in the surroundings. Grandmaster raised his hand, his 5 fingers piercing through the black robe, white and delicate, not at all like an old man. However, alchemists were synonymous with miracles in this world, so no one was surprised by this. All eyes were focused on his hand, waiting for the heaven-shaking strike. Grandmaster withdrew his 4 fingers. Grandmaster pointed out. Master's index finger fell. Grandmaster withdrew his hand. There was no pressure in all directions, no overwhelming aura. He just raised his hand, pointed out and retracted it, playing it down as if it was child's play. Countless people widened their eyes. What was going on? Grandmaster, this was completely inconsistent with the domineering tone of your words. Was it because you knew that you had no way to refuse him? So you used this method to redeem some face? But this was truly shameful. The dazzling image of the Grandmaster suddenly collapsed in the hearts of countless people. Liang Taizu laughed out loud. Junior, thanks Grandmaster for helping me. There is no need to thank me, the Grandmaster lightly said. I originally only wanted to give a light punishment, but I really don't like your servant, so I will send him on his way. Liang Taizu's face stiffened. He shouted out loud, Hey Nu, return! This time his words had no effect. The Grandmaster flicked his sleeves. Bury him. Hey Nu, this chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Hey Nu was sent flying backwards, landing in front of Liang Taizu. Only now could one see that his face was twisted with fear and horror. Although his aura hadn't scattered yet, he was already dead. Li Yunma saw the black and red blood vessels in his eyes and angrily roared, Poison! You dare to use poison! I will kill you! Bang! The Grandmaster's black robes fluttered without wind. His aura erupted like a volcano soaring into the heavens. Golden light broke out from his body like a great sun, descending upon the world. The terrifying aura was like a vast sea, submerging all. But at this time, what left Li Yunma even more panic-stricken was that within this golden light, a figure was faintly discernible. This figure was bathed in the vicissitudes of time, like a god overlooking the world. Hollow nascent soul realm, Li Yunma screamed out loud. From this golden core aura, he could feel an endlessly tyrannical and disdainful aura, as well as a decisiveness and ruthlessness that left his hair standing on end. It was as if it wanted to tear him to pieces, even if he had to go to the ends of the world. The Grandmaster's voice echoed between the heavens and earth, rumbling like thunder. You want to kill me? Li Yunma's complexion paled. He was only at the 5th level of the Golden Core, so how could he be a match for a hollow nascent soul? Moreover, this opponent's Golden Core aura was vast and limitless. The difference in strength was at least 5 times. Killing him was no different than committing suicide. The entire East Stream town fell deathly silent. Countless eyes revealed shame. The Grandmaster was truly a Grandmaster. Not only was his alchemy skill amazing, but his cultivation was also heaven-shaking. The hollow nascent soul realm was only a single step away from stepping into the great Tao of nascent soul and becoming a true overlord of the South Sky Nation. How could such an illustrious character be easily humiliated? The demonic path cultivators were doomed. Ningling looked at the Grandmaster, her eyes filled with respect and also a bit of hesitation. The figure beneath the black robes seemed a bit familiar. Zhang Mo's complexion paled. She lowered her head, her body shivering. Grandmaster, please be merciful. This junior admits defeat. Liang Taizu squeezed out a smile. He pressed his fingers together in his sleeves, and the blood eagle shot into the skies. Its wings flapped like lightning as it flew towards the boundless mountains. This junior has already sent word back to the sect about encountering Grandmaster today. I believe that it won't be long before a great figure from the sect comes to thank Grandmaster for his graciousness in teaching me. The Grandmaster looked up. Are you threatening me? Liang Taizu bowed. This junior doesn't dare. His eyes swept over the blood eagle that had already turned into a black, and he relaxed a little. The son of a noble family wouldn't sit in a corner. He was far more valuable than 10,000 gold coins, so he naturally couldn't place his life in the hands of others. After sending a message back to the sect, Liang Taizu was confident that since they knew who he was, no one would dare to try and kill him again. The Grand Master sneered. A dark light flashed, crossing several miles in the blink of an eye. In the distance, the shrill cry of a hawk echoed out. Liang Taizu stuffily coughed, and blood flowed out from the corners of his lips. Shwa! The dark light returned, hovering above the Grand Master's finger. It was a knuckle-sized black nail that exuded an awe-inspiring, killing intent. Corpse sealing nail. Liang Taizu cried out. He bowed. 7 Slaughter Demon Sects. Liang Taizu greets, Exalted One. Li Yunma let out a sigh of relief and quickly bowed. The Grand Master paused for a moment. Then his tone became cold. I killed your blood eagle to tell you that if I wanted you dead, none of you would be able to live. Liang Taizu respectfully said, This junior has offended Exalted One. If you want to kill me or cut me up, I am naturally at your disposal. Humph! The Grand Master coldly coughed. Although I haven't agreed to be an Exalted One, I do have some relationship with the demonic path. Since I have revealed the corpse sealing nail today, I have no intention of killing you. Leave behind the Kong family's golden core and hand over a storage bag. Then you may leave. Liang Taizu took out the golden core with both hands and respectfully laid it down. Li Yunma felt as if a knife were slicing through his heart, but he didn't dare to hesitate. He untied the storage bag at his waist. Junior bids his farewells. Liang Taizu shot into the skies. Li Yunma followed close behind with He Nu's corpse. The 12 demonic energies that sealed East Stream Town rapidly dissipated. In the blink of an eye, the demonic path group vanished into the mountains and forests. The Grand Master sneered. He could feel the corpse-sealing nail trembling. You're still trying to play tricks. Since you're staying, you must be prepared to die. From the jungle, a demonic cultivator flew out. He fell to his knees and slapped his forehead. Blood instantly flowed out from his head and he died. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn to the next page. In the jungle, Liang Taizu came to a stop. He coldly said, Tale is dead. Li Yunma's eyes shined. Young master, does this person really want to fight us to the death? Idiot! Since he killed Tail, that means he won't chase us down anymore. Liang Taizu's complexion darkened. It was my lack of consideration. I shouldn't have included such a formidable alchemist in my plan. Otherwise, we wouldn't have failed at the last moment and even lost He Nu, Li Yunma roared. There was a mistake in the information. Liang Taizu narrowed his eyes. So, someone wants to borrow a knife to kill us. It seems we will need to return to the sect for some time. In order to resist foreign aggression, we must first stabilize our internal affairs, right? Li Yunma diabolically grinned. They will regret this. The demonic path retreated. After a brief period of silence, East Stream Town erupted in cheers. Thank you, Grandmaster, for saving my life. I will never forget this. Grandmaster has saved everyone in East Stream Town. We will forever remember this. Junior wishes Grandmaster to step into the nascent soul realm as soon as possible. Flattery rolled out like a tide. The Grandmaster put away the corpse-sealing nail and took away the storage bag. He lightly said, Take back the Kong family's golden core. Several figures rushed out. They kowtowed again and again, taking away the old ancestor's golden core. The middle-aged man in the lead offered a black iron token with both hands. With this token, if Grandmaster has any need in the future, the Kong family will not hesitate to go through fire or water for you. He kowtowed and hurried away. The Grandmaster turned around. His eyes fell on Zhang Mo. After a brief pause, he took a step forward and flew away. In the blink of an eye, he vanished from everyone's sight. Grandmaster has a noble character and unquestionable integrity. He saved us without asking for anything in return. That's right. Such grace is the model we should all learn from. To not be able to see Grandmaster's true appearance is truly the greatest regret of my life. As they sighed with emotion, no one dispersed. Their eyes faintly gathered together. Ning Ling withdrew her gaze. Her eyes were cold. She lightly said, "Senior Zhang was injured in order to save us. Allow me to send you back." Zhang Qingming opened his eyes, a divine light flashing within them. He smiled and said, "I'll have to trouble Miss Ning." Zhang Mo seemed to wake up from a dream. She hurriedly supported him. There was a bit more shame in everyone's eyes. They looked at Ning Ling and then dispersed. The Zhang family's grand residence had been destroyed. Luckily, there were still other properties that could be temporarily resettled. After ordering the remaining clansmen to go about their own business and sending them away, the calm Zhang Qingming suddenly violently coughed, blood flowing out from the corners of his mouth. "Great-grandfather!" Zhang Mo cried out in alarm. Zhang Qingming waved his hand. "I'm fine." He bitterly smiled and cupped his hands together. "Thank you for Miss Ning's help. Otherwise, the Zhang family would have suffered another calamity today." Ning Ling stood up. "During these years, I have received much care from Senior Zhang, so it is only natural that I do so. But this is not a place to stay for long. Senior must make a decision soon. I bid my farewells." As she finished speaking, she turned and left. Zhang Mo's lips moved, her face pale. Zhang Qingming sighed. "Mo? In order to save me and save our Zhang family, you have suffered grievances." Tears flowed down her cheeks. Zhang Mo wiped them away, but she couldn't wipe them clean. In her mind, Qin Yu's cold and callous back constantly appeared. It was like a small knife that constantly cut at her heart. No matter what difficulties she had, betrayal was betrayal. Big Brother Qin should hate her to the bone, right? But even so, Big Brother Qin still forgave her. Otherwise, how could the Grandmaster not punish her for her actions? Thinking of this, Zhang Mo's heart ached even more. Her vision darkened, and she fainted. Ning Ling left the Zhang family. She sighed inwardly. She could now guess what Zhang Mo was thinking. From her point of view, this might have been the right thing to do, but she really didn't like it. Since that was the case, she might as well distance herself. In any case, it wouldn't be long before she returned. Suddenly feeling a bit dispirited, Ning Ling's thoughts stirred. The white cloud lifted her up and howled into the distance. She would return to the sect first. Chapter 16. Genius in a second, remember, love go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. In the jungle, Qin Yu took off his black robes and moved along the ground. The multicolored miasma wasn't able to affect him in the least. He ran for dozens of miles and found a hidden cave. He didn't kill the several wild wolves living inside because the smell of blood was too conspicuous in the forest. He carefully covered up his tracks and sealed the cave entrance with a stone. After sitting there for 2 hours and making sure no one was following him, Qin Yu couldn't persist any longer. He fell into the smelly grass and fell into a deep sleep. This sleep didn't last too long. After recovering a bit, he woke up and sat down cross-legged, swallowing several pills. It was only now that Qin Yu had the mind to think about everything that occurred in East Streamtown. Even though he had escaped unscathed, his clothes were still soaked with sweat. From the very start, Liang Taizu had definitely targeted this alchemy grandmaster. Even if Zhang Mo hadn't done anything, he would still have been in trouble. Qin Yu took out several broken stones from his chest and bitterly smiled. The poison on his finger, Song Mangzi's golden core, the corpse-sealing nail in the disposal department's spells. He had used every method at his disposal to survive until now. But next time, would he have such good luck? Strength was everything. He had to work harder in his cultivation. But right now, there was something more important. Li Yunma's storage bag. This was a golden core cultivator, and also a demonic path golden core that committed all sorts of atrocities. His wealth could be imagined. Qin Yu took out the bag from his chest and unsealed it. His divine sense tingled, and his complexion changed. He hurriedly probed his body, but there was nothing strange about his body. It was only after a long time that he relaxed. He lifted his hand, and the contents of the storage bag piled up into a small hill on the ground. They were all jade boxes of different sizes. The jade boxes were all deep black with spots of blood that emitted a cold air. In the blink of an eye, the temperature in the air dropped by a great deal. Qin Yu's eyes flashed. He carefully looked around and didn't find anything wrong. He picked up a jade box and opened it. It was unknown what kind of life form's bone was inside, but the bone material was as translucent as jade. What was the use of this? He put it down and picked up another one, opening it. What he saw was a greasy whisker that slowly wriggled and emitted a fishy smell. He hurriedly opened the third one. It was a palm-sized beck. The patterns were rare, but what was up with the hole on it? The storage bag of a dignified, demonic path golden core cultivator wouldn't be these things, right? As he quickly looked through all the jade boxes, his complexion darkened. There were 36 jade boxes of varying sizes, and there were all sorts of strange things placed within them. But not a single one of them was useful. He bitterly smiled and shook his head, putting it away. He feared that if he continued to look, he would suffer internal injuries from anger. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. Half a month. In the cave, Qin Yu opened his eyes, a sharp light flashing within them. He immediately revealed a happy expression. Perhaps it was because of the stimulation he received in East Dreamtown, but it had caused him to erupt with unprecedented potential. His cultivation had risen even further in this period of time, reaching the 3rd level of foundation establishment. Although he still had many pills and countless materials, he still stopped cultivating and began to consider the future. Would he return to the Eastern Mountain sect? This thought had been lingering in his mind for many days. To put it simply, each had its own pros and cons. This time, he had to be very careful in his cultivation. He could not be discovered by others. If he didn't return, he would be free and unrestrained, just like now. Of course, there was one thing he was sure of. The outside world was not as safe as the sect. After a long time, Qin Yu let out a long breath. He had decided to return to the Eastern Mountain sect. This was all for safety. His current cultivation was far too weak. If there was a slightly larger storm, he might die without a grave, with a little blue lamp in hand. Even if he desperately wanted to become stronger, he still had to be safe. Only by living long enough could he become stronger. If he died, everything would be for naught. An hour later, Qin Yu left the cave he had lived in for half a month. He washed off the stench from his body in a mountain stream and then headed straight for the Eastern Mountain sect. The skies were clear and bright, but there were no moon or stars. It was still so dark that one couldn't even see their own fingers. But the dim starlight was more than enough for Qin Yu to discern his direction. He safely entered the Eastern Mountain sect. When he stepped into the array formation of the pill disposal department, Qin Yu relaxed a little. He walked down the stairs, a light smile on his face. It had been almost 2 months. Even if he had left behind some poison-dispelling pills, it would still be more than enough for the chicken overlord to drink. This little thing, after following him for so long, had it not, this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Who knew how it had learned to secretly eat pills and become even more intelligent. It was good to let it suffer a bit so that it wouldn't run amok in the future. As he walked down the stairs, Qin Yu's eyes swept around and his smile froze. Someone had been here. There was the sound of footsteps behind him. Qin Yu turned his head and saw a pale man staring at him. Shock flashed across this man's face before turning to ecstasy. He clenched his teeth. "Kacha!" A light sound rang out, especially clear in the quiet underground. Qin Yu's heart shrank. He took a step forward and instantly approached. A man who had clearly been poisoned fell to the ground. He roughly thrust his fingers into the man's mouth and pulled out a broken tooth. The unconscious man twitched. Looking at the broken tooth that was covered in blood and a weak light flashed through it, Qin Yu's complexion became extremely ugly. "Calm down." Qin Yu took a deep breath and suppressed his panic thoughts. He lowered his head and earnestly looked at this person. As he thought, he found this person's face somewhat familiar. Yu Er, outer court disciple of the Eastern Mountain sect. Qin Yu's complexion darkened. The pill disposal department's array formation only allowed entry, but not exit. But it was clear that the Eastern Mountain sect had a way to enter and exit. This was because when he arrived here, he hadn't found the corpse of that unlucky fellow. If Yu Er appeared here, that meant that the Eastern Mountain sect had discovered him and he had left. Run. Just as this thought rose, he suppressed it. The news that Yu Er had sent out must have been discovered by the Eastern Mountain sect. If he ran away now, it might be too late. Taking a step back, even if he could escape, he would still implicate others. Even if he didn't have a family, there were still people he cared about. If he couldn't run, then he could only face them head-on. Qin Yu rushed into his bedroom. As his eyes swept over the stone blocking the entrance, he knew that the underground space had been discovered. He shouted out loud. Magic power surged, and with the strength of his mortal body, he lifted up the stone and shouted, "It's me! If you don't want to die, then hurry up and get out." With a loud fluttering sound, the chicken overlord rushed over with a disheveled face. It wanted to act cute and pitiful, but was pressed down by Qin Yu. He took out 2 storage bags and was about to throw them down when Qin Yu's eyes flashed. He flicked his sleeves, and the jade boxes in Li Yunma's storage bag fell to the ground. Then he placed them into the gold and silver thread storage bag and threw them into the cave. "Take the storage bag and hide it well. Don't let anyone find it." The chicken overlord picked up the storage bag and flew away. Qin Yu calmed down a little. He picked up the stone and covered the entrance before placing the empty storage bag into his chest. Suddenly, the entry token in his chest heated up. Someone had broken in. Qin Yu turned and rushed out. Just as he revealed a panicked expression, a figure flew down. This figure had white hair and a thin face. His brown eyes made one's heart tremble. With a flick of his sleeves, Qin Yu froze where he was, as if he had fallen into a swamp. The old man reached out a hand and searched his body. Soon he found a storage bag. He sneered and opened it, his complexion darkening. "Brat, where is the thing in the storage bag?" Qin Yu was panic-stricken. The old man frowned. He lifted a hand and undid a bit of the seal. Qin Yu cried out, "Martial granduncle, please forgive me." This old man was one of the 2 great golden cores of the Eastern Mountain sect, the high uncle of the current sect master, Huang Dangui. "You recognize me?" Huang Dangui strangely smiled. "Then hurry up and tell me the truth. Otherwise, you should have heard of my methods." Qin Yu shivered. "It's empty." The storage bag was empty to begin with. Huang Dangui said, "Since you want to try it, then I will help you." He lifted a hand and placed it on Qin Yu's body. A trace of black energy rushed into Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu cried out in pain and tumbled to the ground. Huang Dangui sneered, "Are you going to speak or not?" "Martial granduncle, this disciple is not lying. Kill me, kill me!" Qin Yu screamed out again and again. Of course, he was faking it more than anything else. Over the last year, he had accumulated a great deal of poison in his body and had developed a strong immunity to it. Although Huang Dangui's poison was fierce, it wasn't to the point of causing him to collapse. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded out, "Hi, uncle. In the end, he is still a disciple of the sect. Let's clarify how he will be dealt with first." His words were calm and dignified. "This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. With this cultivation, the only one who could speak like this was the Eastern Mountain sect master. Huang Dangui frowned but nodded. All right. He lifted his hand, and the black energy was taken back from Qin Yu's body. Then he grabbed him and flew away. The speed of a golden core cultivator was astonishing. They soon arrived at a grand hall of the Eastern Mountain sect. With a loud bang, Huang Dangui threw Qin Yu to the ground and sat down. The Eastern Mountain sect master had a middle-aged appearance. His 3-foot-long beard made him seem a bit elegant and elegant. He smiled and cupped his hands together. I've troubled High Uncle to help. Huang Dangui lightly grunted. His eyes were half closed, without the slightest hint of respect. The Eastern Mountain sect master didn't care. His eyes fell on Qin Yu, his gaze sharp and fierce. Qin Yu, tell me, how did you leave the pill disposal department? Huang Dangui's half-closed eyes flashed with a sharp light. It was clear he placed great importance on this. Qin Yu trembled. Reporting to sect master, 2 months ago at night, someone suddenly broke into the pill disposal department. He was the one who took this disciple away. Nonsense! Huang Dangui shouted out. If you dare speak any more nonsense, then I will make you bleed from your head until you die. Qin Yu was panic-stricken. Everything this disciple says is the truth. The Eastern Mountain sect master turned around. Hi, Uncle, let him speak in detail. He looked at Qin Yu. This matter is of great importance. Qin Yu, you must consider this carefully. Otherwise, even I cannot save you. Yes, this disciple will definitely tell you everything I know. Qin Yu revealed a grateful expression. He thought back and quickly said, This disciple clearly remembers. On that night when I was cultivating, that person suddenly appeared in front of me. I wasn't able to resist before I was subdued. He originally planned on killing me, but afterwards he discovered that a secret passage in my bedroom had been opened by me. He ignored me and jumped in. What secret passage? The Eastern Mountain sect master maintained his composure. Qin Yu revealed a shocked expression. Sect master, there is an underground space beneath the pill disposal department. This disciple inadvertently discovered it. There is a medicine field inside, as well as a skeleton called Song Mangzi. Huang Dangui's eyes shot open, a sharp light exploding from them. Song Mangzi, are you sure it was Song Mangzi? Qin Yu nodded again and again. This disciple found a jade slip that said that. It also said that he was trapped underground. The Eastern Mountain sect master had a dignified expression. Continue. After this disciple discovered the underground space, I found a storage bag beside Song Mangzi's skeleton. In a moment of weakness, I buried him. After that mysterious person left the underground space, he had a sad expression on his face. After knocking me out, he brought me away from the pill disposal department. Afterwards, he said that I was a fated person and wanted to test me. If I passed, he would accept me as his disciple. Qin Yu revealed a look of shame. This disciple was incompetent and wasn't chosen, so I returned. Huang Dangui sneered. You said that you buried Song Mangzi? Then what about the grave? Qin Yu was stunned. What grave? There was only one. It was in a thatched hut. This disciple personally dug a hole and buried it. Huang Dangui's eyes darkened. Brat, you can't even speak your mind. Do you want to die? Qin Yu was horrified. This disciple doesn't know. I really don't know. After that person came out, he knocked me out. The Eastern Mountain sect master said, Is Song Mangzi's storage bag the one in High Master's hands? Qin Yu shook his head. No, Song Mangzi's storage bag was taken away by Grandmaster. The one in High Master's hands was the storage bag of the 7 slaughtered demon sects, Li Yunma. Grandmaster took it back and gave it to me. The Eastern Mountain sect master's eyes brightened. The 7 slaughtered demon sects, Li Yunma? Are you talking about what happened at East Stream Town? How does the sect master know? Qin Yu was startled. He immediately understood. That's right, it's already been half a month, and news of what happened at East Stream Town must have spread out. This is great. This disciple can finally prove my innocence. The one who took me away was that Grandmaster from East Stream Town. The Eastern Mountain sect master said in a low voice, Qin Yu, you must think this through. There are many people that know of this matter, and I will soon find someone to confront you. If you dare to lie, no one will be able to save you. Sect master, this disciple can testify that Qin Yu didn't lie. A cold voice sounded out from outside the hall. A beautiful figure appeared. She walked in, her face hidden in the shadows. Even so, this couldn't erase that breathtaking beauty. Qin Yu's heart shook. Ningling, it was actually Ningling. Their gazes met and then immediately turned away. She bowed. Greetings, Sect Master, Grandmaster Huang. Chapter 17. Genius 1. Second, remember if you want to go? Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. The Eastern Mountain Sect Master raised a hand. There is no need for formalities. Love, go, small, say, Net Kaningling, you personally experienced the events at East Stream Town. Is Qin Yu really someone that follows the Grandmaster? Ningling nodded. This disciple is certain. The Eastern Mountain Sect Master and Huang Dangui glanced at each other. Although this matter was bizarre, with Ningling as a witness, it was highly believable. Huang Dangui suddenly said, Qin Yu, tell me, how did you reach Foundation establishment in such a short period of time? Also, where did you get the method to hide your aura? This was something he had only discovered when he imprisoned Qin Yu. Qin Yu respectfully said, reporting to Marshal Granduncle, this disciple's cultivation was bestowed upon me by the Grandmaster. He said that I have no talent for cultivation, so he gave me pills to build my foundation. That can be considered as settling our karma. He paused for a moment and looked at Ningling. The method to hide my aura, Ningling said. I asked Grandmaster for a pill, and in return he gave me an aura restraining jade pendant. Grandmaster gave it to Qin Yu. Ningling saw this with her own eyes. Everything matched up. The Eastern Mountain Sect Master suddenly said, Qin Yu, you have followed Grandmaster for many days. Do you know who he is, and what is his relationship with Song Mengzi? Qin Yu shook his head. This disciple has never seen Grandmaster's true appearance. He always wears black robes, but I seem to have heard him muttering something to himself. Something like, this is fate. All the past will disappear, and you shouldn't blame anyone. As for what he meant, I have no idea. The Eastern Mountain Sect Master glanced at Huang Dangui, and the two of them felt their hearts relax. East Stream Town's mysterious alchemy grandmaster had recently become a household name. Not only was his alchemy skills extraordinary, but his false, nascent soul cultivation was even more amazing. He was definitely related to Song Mengzi. If he came to take revenge on the Eastern Mountain sect, then that would be a great deal of trouble. Fortunately, it seemed like he wasn't going to pursue the matter any further. That's great. The Eastern Mountain sect master smiled. Qin Yu, what did Grandmaster teach you? Qin Yu was ashamed. Grandmaster gave this disciple a cultivation method, but this disciple couldn't understand it at all. Grandmaster also taught me alchemy, but this disciple couldn't follow his path. From then on, Grandmaster refined a lot of medicinal pills for me. After helping me build my foundation, he left me alone. The Eastern Mountain sect master's face stiffened. Huang Dangui, on the other hand, did not need to have any misgivings. He scolded. What a waste of a great fortune. Rotten wood cannot be carved. With a flick of his hand, he tossed out the storage bag. I'll return it to you, since the Grandmaster gave it to you. Take it and scram, lest you dirty my eyes. He discovered that there was still some demonic energy left on the storage bag. It was clear that Qin Yu wasn't lying. As for the things in the storage pouch, they must have been taken by Grandmaster. If it were him, he would have done the same. No matter how many treasures he had, it would be a waste. Qin Yu was overjoyed. He picked up the storage bag and bowed again and again. After a moment of hesitation, he carefully said, "Before Grandmaster left, he told me to look after Tsang Mangzi's grave. This matter." The Eastern Mountain sect master waved his hand. "Since it is the Grandmaster's orders, just do as he says." After leaving the main hall, Qin Yu's steps were light and brisk, as if a great burden had been lifted from his shoulders. In particular, when he ran into several outer court disciples who respectfully bowed to him after sensing his foundation establishment aura, he seemed even more proud of himself and tried to maintain a calm demeanor. "Qin Yu," Ning Ling landed, her figure as elegant as an immortal. Qin Yu quickly bowed. "Greetings, Senior Apprentice Sister." Ning Ling's eyes flashed. "You know me?" Qin Yu respectfully said. "Who in the sect doesn't know that the most outstanding disciple of the Eastern Mountain sect is the elusive elder Senior Apprentice Sister? Of course I can guess. If I offended you before, I ask Senior Apprentice Sister to be magnanimous and not bother with me." Ning Ling's eyes were deep. "Qin Yu, tell me, was the Grand Master abandoning you related to the Zheng family?" Qin Yu shook his head. "No, it was because my talent was too poor, and I wasn't able to enter the Grand Master's eyes. But I am more than satisfied that I was able to reach Foundation establishment. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page." He cupped his hands across his chest. "Once I successfully reach Foundation establishment, I can become an inner court disciple. There are still many matters I must deal with, so I will bid my farewells first." Looking at his departing back, Ning Ling frowned. "Sect Master, Grand Master." This disciple followed Junior Apprentice Brother Qin Yu all the way here. He appeared proud and relaxed, as if there was nothing wrong with him. Afterwards, Senior Apprentice Sister Ning Ling appeared, and it wasn't good for this disciple to continue following him, so I returned. In the main hall, an Eastern Mountain sect disciple respectfully said. The Eastern Mountain sect master waved his hand. "You may leave." After the disciple left, he turned and said, "Hi, Master, it seems this is how things are." Huang Dangui thought for a moment. "Let's observe for a bit longer. Although Ning Ling can testify and everything can be explained, I still feel that something isn't right." He was calm and composed, without any of his previous ruthlessness. White face, black face, this was a simple method to begin with. The Eastern Mountain sect master nodded. "That's also good, but the spells of the Forbidden Land have already been destroyed. We must find a way to avoid being discovered." He sighed. Luckily, that mysterious alchemy grandmaster didn't have any intentions of becoming enemies with my Eastern Mountain sect. Otherwise, there was no way the underground furnace could have escaped his eyes. Huang Dangui stood up. "I will handle this matter." In a single day, news of Junior Apprentice Brother Qin spread throughout the entire Eastern Mountain sect. It was said that if one sat at home, pills would fall from the heavens and he would easily reach Foundation establishment. This caused the eyes of countless people to turn red with envy. Qin Yu returned to where the outer court disciples lived and gathered a large group of outer court disciples that he knew and didn't know. After receiving a round of flattery, he walked towards the inner mountain gate, surrounded by envious and hateful gazes. There were no strict boundaries between the inner and outer court disciples. But besides when there were matters to attend to, outer court disciples were allowed to enter the inner mountain gate. Otherwise, if they were caught, they would be beaten at the very least. Once he successfully reached Foundation establishment, he would obtain an inner court status. Qin Yu's current destination was the Merit Hall where he would be promoted. The one in charge of this place was actually an acquaintance. He was the elder Li Mu, who had been arrested the day after Han Dong was killed. It was said that he had been a scholar in his early years. By a lucky chance, he had stumbled upon an ancient book and discovered a cultivation method. From there, he stepped onto the road of cultivation and joined the Eastern Mountain sect. But he had started too late and missed the best time to cultivate. Even though Li Mu's talent was good, after reaching the 8th level of Foundation Establishment, he found it difficult to advance any further. He was stuck at this step. In terms of cultivation, besides the 2 great golden cores of the Eastern Mountain sect, he could be considered a peak character. He was of the same generation as the sect master. Qinyu, you've arrived. Come and sit. Li Mu smiled, his tone intimate. He waved his hand for a disciple to bring over some spirit tea. Have a taste. I picked this from an old tea tree in the medicine garden. The sect master saw that I was old, so he specially gave me some. It was clear that he had already forgotten about this outer court disciple he had met once before. Qin Yu was flattered. Greetings, High Master. No need, no need. Li Mu waved his hand. Cultivators only look at their cultivation. You and I are both at the Foundation Establishment realm, so we can speak as equals in private. If you don't mind, you can call me Old Brotherly. Qin Yu's face flushed red with excitement. This doesn't conform to the rules. In the sect, this disciple will still call you High Master. The hidden meaning was that once they left the sect, the 2 of them would speak separately. Li Mu's smile widened. He clapped his hands, and a disciple immediately placed a wooden tray on the table. Qinyu, you are already an inner court disciple, so you cannot forget what you should have. This is an inner court token, an inner court robe, and also an introductory inner court cultivation method manual. How about you take a look? Qin Yu repeatedly thanked him. He picked up the token and stroked it. This was proof of his identity. Only by becoming an inner court disciple could he be officially recognized by the sect. In the future, if he encountered any trouble as he wandered the martial world, he could take this out and save his life. Seeing Qin Yu fondle it fondly, Li Mu's eyes flashed and he gently sighed. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Qin Yu looked up. High Master, what is it? He had been waiting for these words. Li Mu said, Qin Yu, you should know that I am already old and often forgetful in managing the Merit Hall. I've been asking the sect master for a storage bag to hold all sorts of items, but there has been no result. It really gives me a headache. Qin Yu's complexion changed. He lowered his head and didn't speak. Seeing Qin Yu not respond, Li Mu frowned. He coughed and said, Little brother Qin, I know you have a storage bag. I don't have any other intentions. I just think that you won't need it for the time being, so you might as well trade it with me. Little brother Qin, don't worry. I will definitely give you a fair price. I've saved up dozens of spirit stones over the years, as well as some pills. I can give them all to you. As he spoke to her, he took out a scroll from his chest and placed it on the table. He smiled and said, Little brother Qin, take a look. These are all the residences of our Eastern Mountain sect. I've already marked out the ones that are ownerless. If you have any that you like, then just say it. If you don't like it, then choose a place and I will mobilize people to build it for you in the shortest time possible. As he finished speaking, he smiled, waiting for Qin Yu's reply. Qin Yu had an awkward expression. High Master, Li Mu interrupted him. Little brother Qin, if you think this isn't enough, then we can discuss it. For better or worse, I manage the Merit Hall, so once we finish this transaction, we will be brothers. I will definitely help you in the future. Of course, the other meaning was that if Qin Yu refused, then don't blame him for being impolite in the future. Qin Yu said, High Master, this was given to me by the Grand Master. It isn't good for me to dispose of it on my own. Li Mu smiled and shook his head. What sort of character is the Grand Master? Since he has given you something, then it is yours. Little brother Qin should be able to decide how to use it. Spirit stones and pills are all good things that can help with cultivation. When I step into Golden Core in the future, would I still need to worry about a storage bag? Qin Yu clenched his teeth. Hi, master, I don't want exchange. Li Mu's complexion darkened. Little brother Qin, are you serious? I want to keep it. Li Mu coldly snorted and walked away. The disciple that was serving tea to the side tossed out a token from his chest and coldly said, See, 29 courtyard. Qin Yu awkwardly left the merit hall. As he turned his head, a trace of ridicule flashed in his eyes. The inner court token, robes, and law formulas were all issued by the sect, and even the courtyard was built by the sect. Yet he only needed a few dozen spirit stones and pills to exchange for a storage bag. Why didn't he just rob someone? Did he really think he was some stupid boy that hadn't seen the world before? But on the surface, he wasn't like this. He angrily walked away, a look of shame on his face. He had no choice but to put on an act. There was still a little tail following him. Qin Yu glanced over and saw that it was still there. It seemed that the sect master and old freak, Huang, hadn't fully believed him. But that was also right. For someone to reach this step, how could they be so easy to deal with? If they trusted others so easily, they would have died countless times already. He had to continue acting. After this period of time passed, he would be able to relax. Qin Yu strode towards his residence. See, 29 courtyard. Just by hearing it, one could tell that it wasn't a good place. After turning left and right, he finally found it. Even though he was prepared, Qin Yu still frowned. He cursed Li Mu's entire family in his heart. Area A, B, and C were the residential areas of the inner court. Area C was the last, and the 29th courtyard was the last of the three. The mountain rocks in front of him were bare, and the waterfall seemed elegant. But, with the rumbling of the water, it was hard not to have his ears ringing after a long time. Besides the rich heaven and earth spiritual strength, it could be called a barren land. Forget it. In any case, he didn't need to meditate when he cultivated. If it was ringing, then so be it. When he had a chance in the future, he would teach that old bastard a lesson. But there were many bastards in this world. He had just seen one, and in the blink of an eye, another group would appear. Hashtag, 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 hashtag after reading the latest update. Please bookmark and recommend. New books are in urgent need of care. Chapter 18. Genius in a second. Remember, love go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Not long after Qin Yu pushed open the door to Courtyard 29, he could hear the sounds of drums and bells outside. Firecrackers crackled in the air, creating a cacophony of noise. Junior apprentice Brother Qin Yu, are you here? We have come to congratulate you. As they spoke, a large group of people squeezed into the courtyard. The space immediately became cramped. Qin Yu happily welcomed them. Welcome, fellow senior apprentice brothers. Please come in. The man with the folding fan opened it and fanned it twice. He said, Junior apprentice Brother Qin, do you know how great your face is? This is senior apprentice Brother Su Wei. He is a disciple of Martial Grand Uncle Huang and is an outstanding figure of our sect. For him to personally come to congratulate you is unprecedented. Yes. I have never seen Senior Apprentice Brother Su Wei personally congratulate you. Junior Apprentice Brother Qin Yu is the only one. Senior Apprentice Brother Su Wei is so friendly. Junior Apprentice Brother Qin, you must treat him with sincerity and be close to your Senior Apprentice Brother. Don't disappoint us. There was a chorus of agreement. It seemed that if Qin Yu didn't immediately bow his head and become Su Wei's little brother, then that would be a great sin. Qin Yu's face flushed red. He nearly swore to the heavens in front of everyone that he would wholeheartedly praise Senior Apprentice Brother Su Wei's actions. He couldn't help but reveal a happy expression. Su Wei coughed and smiled. Junior Apprentice Brother Qin Yu, I came in a hurry, so I didn't prepare a congratulatory gift. Please accept this 100-year-old spirit ginseng. He took out a wooden box and opened it. Inside was an old mountain ginseng. It had a full beard and hair and was already somewhat humanoid. Everyone cried out in surprise. praising senior apprentice brother Su's generosity. Qin Yu couldn't refuse, so he accepted it after some hesitation. Su Wei swept his eyes around. The man with the folding fan smiled and said, "I heard that junior apprentice brother Qin Yu has a storage bag in your hands. Since senior apprentice brother Su has gifted you a precious 100-year-old spirit ginseng, why don't you return the gift with a storage bag? In the future, this will surely become a great story." That's right. 100-year-old spirit ginseng is also suitable for a storage bag. Once this news spreads out, junior apprentice brother Qin's fame will spread far and wide. He will soon become the ideal husband of countless junior apprentice sisters. Junior apprentice brother Qin Yu, what are you waiting for? Take out your storage bag and give it to senior apprentice Su Wei. Su Wei smiled and didn't say anything. Qin Yu cursed inwardly. What a bunch of bastards. They wanted to use a bullshit 100-year-old ginseng to trade for his storage bag? They were even worse than Li Mu. On the surface, his complexion stiffened and flushed red. He took out the ginseng box. Senior apprentice brother Su Wei's gift is too heavy. I don't dare to accept it. Love go small, say Nekku. Su Wei's complexion darkened. He lifted his eyelids. What does junior apprentice brother mean? Qin Yu stuttered. Please take it back, senior apprentice brother. Su Wei turned and left. The things that I have given out, there is no reason for me to take them back. Junior apprentice brother, keep them. Perhaps they will be useful in the future. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the people had left. Those who hadn't left yet had cold expressions on their faces. The folding fan man had a pitiful expression. Junior apprentice brother Qin Yu, do you know that this old ginseng is best for prolonging one's life? No matter how heavily injured he was, he could keep it in his mouth to preserve his life for a while. Senior apprentice brother Su Wei asked you to keep it, so keep it. He turned to leave, but then stopped. His lips curled up in a smile. Junior apprentice brother, let me tell you in advance that the Foundation Establishment smelting trial will be held soon. All new Foundation Establishment cultivators of the sect must participate, and the one leading them just happens to be senior apprentice brother Su Wei. Junior apprentice brother should prepare well. The remaining people sneered and turned to leave. The courtyard finally quieted down. Qin Yu closed the door with a smile, his eyebrows furrowed together. Foundation Establishment smelting trial? He seemed to have heard that the Eastern Mountain sect would hold such a trial for new disciples every year in order to increase their experience. It could also be considered a kind of test for the disciples. Su Wei was Su Jian's cousin. If it weren't for him, it would be impossible for Su Jian to be so arrogant in the outer court. It was best not to provoke him, otherwise he would settle old and new grudges all at once. A cold light flashed in Qin Yu's eyes. He composed himself and walked back into his room. After experiencing the events at East Stream Town, his mind had undoubtedly become much more powerful. He had even killed a golden core, and Su Wei was only a mere Foundation Establishment cultivator. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn the page. So what if he was at the Foundation realm? For the next several days, Qin Yu lived in seclusion, as if he were bitterly cultivating. But he was well aware of his own situation. With his talent, without the help of pills, his cultivation would stagnate. But no matter how anxious he was, he could only patiently endure it. If he was discovered, then he would be beyond redemption. Of course, the main reason Qin Yu was able to endure this was because no one casually came in and out of the pill disposal department. In addition, the chicken overlord was well hidden, so the chances of it being discovered were extremely small. Otherwise, he would have disregarded everything else and gone to take back his own storage bag. It had to be known that he had even placed the little blue lamp inside. Although his cultivation couldn't progress, Qin Yu didn't waste these days. He began to practice the 3 supplementary magic arts that came with the new law formula. As for the law formula, although the quality was better, Changing to a different cultivation method required a great deal of time. In addition, Qin Yu had been relying on pills to increase his cultivation, so he didn't rely on the law formula much. Thus, he didn't waste any time on it. He planned to find a higher level law formula in the future, and then change it. This matter wasn't mentioned for now. The three magic arts were Gale Step, Sharp Edge, and Spirit Thrust. Gale Step was a movement technique. After practicing it, one's body would become as light as a swallow and one could travel 1,000 miles in a single day. Of course, the premise of this was that one had enough magic power to support it. Cold Edge was the crudest and could barely be considered an offensive magic art. It forced magic power out of the body and condensed it into a sharp blade that could cut through stone and iron. Qin Yu immediately thought of the night he obtained the little blue lamp. The attack that Han Dong had slashed out should have been Cold Edge. If it weren't for him dodging a step faster, he would have already been decapitated and he wouldn't be where he was today. As for Spirit Thrust, it was unexpected. It was a divine sense attack technique. A Foundation Establishment Realm Divine sense was incomparably weak. It could be considered useless. But in truth, what gave Qin Yu the greatest surprise was Spirit Thrust. He didn't have much else, but he had many pills. In particular, after reaching Foundation Establishment, he had refined countless accumulation spirit pills to strengthen his divine sense. In terms of divine sense, there was no one in the Foundation Establishment realm that he didn't fear. If used well, Spirit Thrust could absolutely surprise everyone and play a crucial role. These three magic arts were all simple. In addition, Qin Yu's divine sense was relatively strong, so learning them wasn't difficult at all. Today, he had just barely grasped them. Qin Yu stood up and pushed open the door. As usual, he casually wandered around his dwelling. Although it seemed like he wasn't paying attention, his eyes had already clearly seen his surroundings. An hour later, Qin Yu revealed a smile. The little tail that had been spying on him had finally withdrawn. He had to be cautious and not be anxious. In any case, he had already waited for several days, so waiting another 2 days wouldn't matter. Qin Yu turned around and continued to practice magic arts. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days passed. On the third day, Qin Yu hurried out the door. He didn't bother to conceal himself as he headed straight for the pill disposal department. He had already said that he had been entrusted by the Grandmaster to look after Tsang Mengzi's grave, so he didn't need to hide from the eyes of others. His journey was smooth. He used the entry token to enter the pill disposal department and carefully looked around. He didn't know where Yu Er had gone. Without hesitation, he opened the entrance and entered the underground space. Just as he was about to summon the chicken overlord, Qin Yu's eyes flashed. He arrived in front of the thatched hut and respectfully said, "Senior Tsang Mengzi, this junior has been entrusted by the Grandmaster to come here today to pay his respects. I fear that you will be lonely, so I will stay here to accompany you for the night." His voice wasn't loud, but it was just loud enough to spread through the entire underground space. The surroundings were quiet, and there was no sign of the chicken overlord. Qin Yu's heart chilled, but he didn't panic. If the chicken overlord had been discovered, then he would have long since been controlled. How could he still be free? He sat down and took out some incense burners, paper money, wine, and other such things from his storage bag. Then he began to prepare for the ceremony. Even if he wanted to put on an act, he had to go all the way. Since Qin Yu had expected this to happen, he had already made preparations ahead of time. In a remote corner of the underground space, there was a dim shadow. But at this time, hidden in the shadow was a young man with an ugly complexion. After hesitating for a long time and seeing that Qin Yu really didn't plan on leaving, he reluctantly revealed himself. "Who is it?" Qin Yu shouted out in alarm. The young man revealed an awkward expression. "Junior apprentice brother, please don't misunderstand. If this chapter isn't finished, please turn to the next page. I was ordered to investigate." He didn't mean what he said, so he found it hard to continue. Qin Yu cupped his hands across his chest. "Oh, I think senior apprentice brother looks a bit familiar. Have we met before? Cough, cough. Perhaps I've seen you before. I've already investigated most of the area, so I won't stay here any longer. Farewell. He turned and left. Even with the poison-dispelling pill that Huang Dangui had given him, Tao Jie didn't dare to stay here for too long. If he really stayed here for a day and was infected with pill toxins, then he wouldn't even have a place to cry to. Whatever, he would just return and say that everything was normal. With today's events, Marshal Grand Uncle Huang should be able to rest assured. Qin Yu loudly said, "Senior apprentice brother, take care." He calmly turned around, a cold sweat dripping down his forehead. That was close. If he had directly summoned the chicken overlord, even if that little thing wasn't clever enough to come out, it would still have been discovered. Indeed, being careful was always the right thing to do. He had to remember this in the future. Qin Yu took a deep breath and sat down. Since he said he would stay here for the night, he would return tomorrow. The night passed peacefully. Before dawn, when the darkness was at its thickest, Qin Yu opened his eyes, a sharp light flashing within them. "There's no one here. Come out." Flap, flap, flap. The chicken overlord rushed over. It was only then that Qin Yu realized that this little thing had hidden itself in a crack that extended upwards. It was no wonder he hadn't been discovered. As it rushed in front of Qin Yu, the chicken overlord laid down the storage bag. Its body swayed for a moment before it fell to the ground. It looked as if it had been deeply poisoned and had been worried and frightened. However, it had clenched its teeth and worked hard, but in the end, it had fallen to the ground from exhaustion. But please, if it fell then, it should have been a bit more realistic. When it fell to the ground, why did it raise its wings to protect its face? It was afraid of being disfigured. Qin Yu kicked the air. "Don't pretend to be dead. You've established a great merit this time, so of course you will be rewarded." The chicken overlord leapt up like a carp and stood up in high spirits. Its small eyes glanced at Qin Yu, as if saying that he was tactful. "I don't have time to waste here. Hurry up and come over." Qin Yu's thoughts stirred. The little blue lamp appeared in his hand, and a foot of sea blue light quietly bloomed. The chicken overlord rushed in. Its eyes narrowed, and it revealed a comfortable expression. It stared at the little blue lamp, its eyes rolling around. Qin Yu laughed and scolded. "Don't have any strange thoughts. Otherwise, I really will stew you and make you good nourishment." As he spoke, his movements didn't stop. He poured out the rest of the items in his storage bag and then put them away in Li Yunma's storage bag. Everyone knew that he only had a single storage bag. Since that was the case, he wouldn't be able to touch the gold and silver thread storage bag for the time being. Thinking for a moment, Qin Yu took out a good number of pills and put them away in the storage bag. Then he rushed to a corner and dug a hole. "Little chicken, I can't bring you out right now. I'll leave you some pills so you can continue hiding for a while. Don't worry. As soon as I have a chance, I will bring you out." The chicken overlord's face was filled with resentment. Qin Yu waved his hand. "When you leave, I'll help you catch 100 hens and make them into your harem." The chicken overlord arrogantly looked up. Qin Yu smiled. "I'll let you choose. We'll catch the most beautiful ones." The chicken overlord wagged its tail like a flower. After standing in front of Lang Tu's grave for a while, Qin Yu left the disposal department in the morning light. He calmly returned to his dwelling, and the last string in his heart quietly relaxed. Marshal Uncle, Junior Apprentice Brother Qin Yu, has returned. There is nothing wrong. Senior Apprentice Brother Tao Jie, who was surveying the underground, respectfully said. Huang Dangui waved his hand. After he left, he muttered to himself, "Perhaps I really was overthinking things. He is just a junior with some lucky chances. Let him be." He stood up and returned to his alchemy room. The Forbidden Lands array formation had been broken, and he needed to hurry up and repair it. The furnace was about to mature. At this critical moment, he couldn't lower his guard. Chapter 19. Genius 1. 2nd, remember, if you want to go. Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Chinyu, who had run into some dog's hit luck and had been struck by a giant pie from the heavens, was about to suffer. The speed at which the news spread was even more astonishing. It was as if in the blink of an eye, everyone already knew about it. Many red-eyed people cried out in delight in their hearts. It was as if they had drunk a mouthful of icy spring water during the hottest days of the year, and their entire bodies emitted a refreshing feeling. Of course, they didn't have any benefits, but that didn't affect their hearts that hoped for Qin Yu's misfortune. Humph. After offending senior brother Su Wei, do you think you'll be any better off? Not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth. Everyone was looking forward to the 15th of the following month, because that was the day chosen for the Foundation establishment trial by fire. However, Qin Yu didn't know of any of this. He took back the items in his storage bag and determined that no one was watching him. Then he shut himself in and focused all of his attention on cultivating. But before that, he first learned the aura restraining law formula that Ning Ling had given him and used it together with the jade pendant. Like this, even if he encountered Huang Dangui again, he could still hide his cultivation. There was no harm in being careful. But this time, Qin Yu would pause every day to carefully analyze and practice the 3 magic arts. Although it was rare for serious mistakes to occur in the Foundation establishment smelting trial, with Su Wei here, Qin Yu believed he should remain vigilant. In the courtyard, the formation had already been activated. Although it was a very low-grade formation, it was still capable of concealing one's aura and sound. Qin Yu stood tall, his eyes slightly closed. Then his eyes flashed open, and a sharp light erupted from them. Raising his hand, the transcendence energy in his body gushed out and flowed along the meridians in his body. In an instant, it gathered in his arm and gushed out from his fingertips. The crescent-shaped blade could not be seen by the naked eye. It cut through the air with a pu sound and slashed into a boulder several meters away, leaving a deep cut. Almost at the same time, he quietly activated his spirit stab. He condensed his divine telekinesis into a sharp spike, and in an instant his attack range reached 10 meters. Qin Yu took a step forward. He was like a tiger rushing down a mountain, his aura exploding and tyrannical as he punched out. Bang! The stone shattered into pieces. Qin Yu drew back his hand. After calculating the frequency of his attacks, he smiled. Although this was only practice and he didn't have any actual combat experience, Qin Yu believed that with these 3 strikes, ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators wouldn't be able to block them. Finally, he had some ability to protect himself. Of course, there were still killer moves hidden behind the 3 axes, such as the corpse-sealing nail. Originally, the toxic finger would have been a better choice. Unfortunately, when he killed Hei Nu at East Streamtown, he had nearly used up all of its poison power. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Qin Yu flicked his sleeves and swept the rubble to a corner of the courtyard. Then he opened the array formation. Outside the door was an outer court disciple. He had a panic-stricken look on his face. Senior apprentice Brother Qin Yu, I was ordered to come here to inform you that tomorrow is the Foundation establishment smelting trial. Please prepare yourselves at the mountain gate. Qin Yu nodded and waved his hand. The outer sect disciple felt as if he had been pardoned. After bowing, he turned around and left. Seeing this person's expression, Qin Yu frowned, but he didn't think too much about it. He closed the courtyard doors, activated the array formation, and entered the training room. They would leave tomorrow, and today they would rest a little and adjust their condition to their peak. During this period of time, their training had indeed been a little tight. After organizing his storage bag and making sure he had enough pills, he closed his eyes and meditated. It was a quiet night. Early the next morning, Qin Yu pushed open the door and went straight to the mountain entrance. Along the way, all the disciples he met had strange expressions, many of them looking at him with pity in their eyes. Qin Yu thought about it for a moment and knew that it was related to Su Wei. His expression didn't change. but his eyes turned a bit colder. This Su-wei, it was best if he didn't make a mistake. The morning light shined on the dew, reflecting a faint brilliance. It made the Eastern Mountains sect seem even more mysterious in the fog. The mountain entrance was extremely large. A blue jade archway towered over the earth, with the words Eastern Mountain written on it. The brush strokes were like dragons and snakes, and there was even a bit of cold majesty lingering around the words, making one feel awe. With Su-wei in the lead, 3 men and 2 women stood beneath the archway. Their eyes were full of smiles, and their demeanor was elegant and graceful. Set off by this environment, they gave off the feeling of immortals. When Qin Yu arrived, Huang Dangui's true disciple was receiving his junior apprentice brother. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Junior apprentice sister's careful flattery, especially junior apprentice sister Lin's delicate posture, made one's heart itch. When Su-wei saw Qin Yu, it was like he was a fish in a pot. The smile on his face faded. Junior apprentice, brother Qin Yu, you're the only one left. With a few light words, he was pushed to the opposite side, planting a seed of dissatisfaction in their hearts. The 2 men and 2 women looked at him, sizing him up. The simple and honest youth seemed a bit better, but the other 3 revealed a cold expression. Qin Yu cupped his hands together. I'm late. Everyone, I apologize. His expression was calm, but there was a bit of suppressed anger in it. This anger caused Su-wei's lips to curl up. It's good that you're here. It's getting late, let's go. He turned around, a cold light flashing in his eyes. I gave you face, but you didn't want it. Brat, don't blame me. A white cloud flew out from the mountain entrance and landed in front of the several people. Ning Ling had an indifferent expression. Su-wei was startled. Then his eyes blazed with heat. He smiled and bowed. Senior apprentice Sister Ning, how come you're here? Ning Ling lightly said, according to the sect master's orders, I will be leading the foundation establishment examination this time. Su-wei's face stiffened. Ning Ling swept her eyes around. If any of you have any objections, you can appeal to the sect master. I will wait here. Su-wei hurriedly said, Senior apprentice, Sister Ning has misunderstood. With you leading the team, that is for the best. He turned and shouted, Hurry and greet Senior apprentice, Sister Ning. Greetings, Senior apprentice, Sister Ning. Several people quickly bowed. Su-wei smiled. Allow me to introduce Junior apprentice sister. Junior apprentice Sister Lin Lin. Junior apprentice Sister Zhang Zhe. Junior apprentice Brother Fan Ping, and Junior apprentice Brother Lu Feng. He pointed at Qin Yu and said, Finally, this is the recently famous junior apprentice Brother Qin Yu. I forgot. Senior apprentice Sister Ning personally experienced the changes at East Stream Town, so you should know junior apprentice Brother Qin Yu. Lin Lin was born with a charming and delicate temperament. She could be considered an extremely beautiful woman. But beside Ning Ling, she wasn't even enough. Seeing Ning Ling arrive, senior apprentice Brother Su-wei's eyes wandered over her body, but he didn't even spare her a glance. Resentment rose in her heart, but she didn't dare to reveal it. Now that she heard this, she immediately found a reason to vent her anger. She giggled and covered her mouth, saying, Junior apprentice Brother Qin Yu's name is truly resounding. Unfortunately, his luck isn't good, and he wasn't able to enter the Grand Master's tutelage. Otherwise, his future achievements would have been limitless. Su-wei's smile widened. He glanced at her in appreciation. Zhang Zhe was thin and didn't even have what he should have. He looked like a bean sprout. He cursed inwardly for being such a vixen, but he didn't hesitate to kick her while she was down. Who said it wasn't? Countless disciples of the sect have sighed at this. They've wasted such a great lucky chance in vain. I also know how to flatter senior apprentice, Brother Su-wei. Fan Ping's eyes turned. Many people have said that if they were given the chance to follow the Grandmaster, they would definitely do better than junior apprentice, Brother Qin Yu. Only Lu Feng lowered his head, remaining silent. Su Wei laughed. Junior apprentice brother Qin Yu, it seems that many people aren't satisfied with you. Qin Yu's face was filled with shame and indignation. Ning Ling suddenly said, "All right, let's go." White clouds appeared in the air, lifting her up and howling as they flew away. Su Wei was startled. He couldn't bother with taunting Qin Yu anymore. He hurriedly chased after her. Senior apprentice Sister Ning, this smelting trial mission is in my hands. Ningling didn't even turn her head. It's a new mission. Just follow me. Su Wei's complexion changed, and a trace of disappointment appeared in his eyes. He turned to look at Qin Yu and could only suppress his thoughts. Originally, he had chosen a more dangerous mission and had already thought it through. He was confident that he could make Qin Yu suffer an accident. Now, it seemed that he could only wait for an opportunity. Looking at Ningling's back, Qin Yu's eyes flashed. He stepped forwards, using Gale's step to chase after the several people in front of him. Not long after they left the sect, Ningling briefly explained the mission. In Western Pass City, there was a 5th-level Foundation establishment cultivator who had committed all sorts of evil deeds. What they needed to do was kill this person and prevent him from continuing to cause harm. A 5th-level Foundation establishment cultivator was also a wandering cultivator. Even if he had several helpers, how strong could he be? Perhaps Ningling could complete the mission herself. There wouldn't be any difficulty at all. This left Su Wei even more disappointed. Fan Ping observed Ningling's expression. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. He smiled and said, with Senior Apprentice Sister Ning and Senior Apprentice Brother Su here for this smelting mission, it will definitely be easy. If we just follow along, that would be a bit of a waste of an opportunity. According to what I know, Western Pass City is 700 miles from here. How about we rush there without stopping? This journey can be considered a test of our abilities. Lin Lin's eyes flashed. Senior Apprentice Brother Fan's proposal isn't bad, but to rush 700 miles in a day, I fear my magic power won't be able to support it. I wonder if Senior Apprentice Brother Su Wei can help me a little. Su Wei's lips curled up. That's a good idea. Let's do it like this. Junior Apprentice brothers and sisters, feel free to do as you please. If you can persist, it will definitely be beneficial to your cultivation. Of course, I will provide you with pills to the best of my abilities. He cupped his hands together. Senior Apprentice Sister Ning, what do you think? Ningling had a light expression. I have no objections. Great. Su Wei clapped his hands. Then let's begin. If anyone can't persist any longer, then come find me for a pill. We won't stop. We must reach Western Pass City before sunset. Su Wei swept his eyes over Qin Yu and sneered inwardly. Everyone knew that the Grandmaster's storage bag was empty, so what would you do? Come and beg me, beg me. I won't give you any pills. Let's see how you die. Of course, he couldn't openly refuse, but he could find an excuse to let his junior apprentice brother temper his will and stabilize his cultivation. Everyone knew that Qin Yu's Foundation establishment cultivation was obtained by piling up pills, so it was normal for his foundation to be unstable. If junior apprentice brother Qin Yu wasn't careful and lost too much energy, causing his cultivation to collapse, then that could only be considered an accident, and he couldn't blame anyone. Whoosh, whoosh, the group clearly accelerated. Besides Ningling and Su Wei, who remained calm and collected, everyone else rushed forwards with all their might. It was obvious that senior apprentice brother Su Wei was targeting Qin Yu. As long as they cooperated well, would they need to worry about not being able to obtain pills to supplement their magic power? That was an elixir. When supplementing one's magic power, there would always be some benefits. Even if it wasn't much once, it would still be considerable if they could do it several times. In other words, only senior apprentice brother Su Wei could do such a thing. Amongst all the disciples of the Eastern Mountain sect, besides him, who else could do such a thing? Qin Yu? Relying on a bit of dog's hit luck, he dared to go against senior apprentice brother Su Wei. He was simply seeking his own death. But in truth, in terms of pills, let alone Su Wei, even his teacher Huang Dangue might not be able to compare with Qinyu. A foundation establishment cultivation that was truly piled up with medicinal pills. Ning Ling floated like an immortal. She was supported by a white cloud as she led the group. Su Wei followed close behind, his eyes revealing an infatuated look. From time to time he would say a few words, and although he would only receive a nod or a shake of the head, he still had an excited expression. Lin Lin, Zhang Zhe, Fan Ping, and Lu Feng fell behind. They were all dripping with sweat and didn't care about using their magic power at all. Just now, that little hoof Lin Lin had opened her mouth and asked Su Wei for an essence augmenting pill. That was a round and fragrant essence augmenting pill. Zhang Zhe, Fan Ping, and Lu Feng's eyes immediately turned red. How could they not risk their lives? Qin Yu was the last. His foundation establishment cultivation was piled up with pills. His foundation was unstable, his magic power was impure, and he was the last to cultivate supernatural powers. It was inevitable that he would fall behind. Of course, he was also panting with sweat dripping down his back. It wasn't difficult to pretend like this, but it was difficult to maintain the same appearance and not let others see anything strange. Qin Yu lifted a hand to wipe away the sweat on his forehead. He took out a water bag and drank some water. His fingers inadvertently flicked, and an essence augmenting pill fell into his mouth. It immediately turned into billowing magic power, and he coughed in comfort. Even though he had refined it countless times, the comfort brought about by a top-grade pill was still intoxicating. Su Wei turned his head and happened to see Qin Yu's current appearance. He immediately revealed a satisfied smile, his heart carefree. Even if I can't do anything in the dark, I still have ways to deal with you in the open. Qin Yu lowered his head and hurried on his way. His face was pale as he gasped for breath. He sneered inwardly. Suddenly, the corners of his eyes rose up and he slowly looked up. At some unknown time, Ningling had appeared in front of him. Hashtag Good Monday, everyone. I ask for your love. Speed. Chapter 20. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Senior Apprentice, Sister Ning. Qin Yu bowed. Ningling revealed a complex look. Originally, in order to avoid any accidents, her best choice would have been to stay at the Eastern Mountain sect. But when she learned that Su Wei and Qin Yu were enemies and that he would be leading the Foundation Establishment smelting trial, she hesitated for a long time. It was only yesterday that she finally decided to intervene. If she asked, no one in the Eastern Mountain sect would refuse. As Ningling looked at Qin Yu, the scene of East Stream Town constantly appeared in her mind. At that time, he was cautious, calm, and generous. The two Qin Yu constantly overlapped in her mind. Finally, she sighed from the bottom of her heart. There are several pills here. Take them. Qin Yu felt helpless. As he swept his eyes over Su Wei, he couldn't help but secretly shake his head. But as he looked at the jade bottle in her hand, he revealed a pleasantly surprised expression and cupped his hands together in thanks. Ningling turned and left, not looking back again. Qin Yu impatiently swallowed a pill. He lowered his head, a bit of a sigh in his eyes. If it was a misunderstanding, then it was a misunderstanding. They weren't people of the same world to begin with. That was also good. At sunset, the group of 7 from the Eastern Mountain sect smoothly arrived at Western Pass City. The one with the most miserable appearance was still Qin Yu. Although Su Wei wasn't satisfied, there was nothing he could do if Ningling took the initiative to give him pills. He smiled and said, "Senior Apprentice Sister, how about we rest for a moment and then begin tonight?" Ningling nodded. Without alerting anyone, the 7 of them jumped over the city walls and checked into a restaurant. Ningling seemed to be very experienced. Before entering the city, she had taken out a veil to cover up her flawless appearance. Even so, she still attracted a great deal of trouble when they checked in. But when Su Wei flicked his sleeves and sent several large fellows flying away, no one dared to look at them again. The group's momentum was ostentatious. They directly booked the best guest room on the 3rd floor, their actions and expressions filled with pride. Immortal cultivators were originally existences that transcended the world. It wasn't strange for them to have such a performance when they walked amongst the mortals, but at least they could distinguish when. Qin Yu swept his eyes around. Even Ningling didn't seem to feel anything was wrong. He shook his head inwardly. The Zhu family, evil cultivator family, had taken root in Western Pass City for over 200 years. Their influence was deeply entrenched, and it was easy to imagine how many eyes and ears they had planted. In addition, he knew that he would be punished for his misdeeds, so he was extremely sensitive to certain things. Perhaps soon, the Zhu family would learn that a group of powerful figures had arrived in Western Pass City and react accordingly. Of course, perhaps Ningling, Su Wei, and the others had already considered this, but they simply didn't care. After all, in the face of absolute strength, the Zhu family had no ability to resist. As night fell, Western Pass City was brightly lit. As a large mortal city of the Southern Empire, it could be said to be flourishing. After staying in the sect to cultivate for so long, they had finally stepped into the mortal world. How could these young men and women resist the temptation? Lin Lin was the first to knock on Su Wei's door and ask to go out for a walk. Perhaps it was because he had been left cold at Ningling's place, or perhaps it was because he was depressed that he hadn't seen Qin Yu suffer. But after a moment of hesitation, Su Wei nodded and agreed. After greeting Ningling, Su Wei was escorted out by Lin Lin, Zhang Zhe, Fan Ping, and Lu Feng. Now that he found the feeling of being surrounded by people once more, Su Wei was in high spirits. Of course, no one paid attention to Qin Yu. Even the simple and honest Lu Feng tactfully kept his mouth shut. But in less than an hour, Su Wei's group of 5 returned in a fit of rage. Lin Lin and the others still had panic on their faces that hadn't yet faded. Lu Feng was carried on Fan Ping's back. His face was covered in a layer of black energy, and he was unconscious. It was clear that he had been schemed against by someone. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. It's poison, Su Wei coldly said. As Huang Donggui's most favored disciple, he also had his own abilities. There is only a single cultivator family in Western Pass City. It seems that we have been discovered, and the Zhu family has taken the initiative. He clenched his teeth. He never thought that, if he hadn't been so flamboyant, how could he have been discovered by the Zhu family so easily? Regret flashed in Ningling's eyes. She had already reacted and realized that she and the others had been too careless. But now that things had come to this, there was no point in saying anything more. She coldly said, "Leave one person to look after junior apprentice, Brother Lu Feng. The rest of you, follow me to the Zhu family and search for the antidote." She turned. "Junior apprentice, Brother Qin Yu, you stay behind." Su Wei wanted to object, but Ningling didn't give him a chance. She flew straight out of the 3rd floor. "What are you all standing around for? Follow senior apprentice, Sister Ning, and trample over the Zhu family." As Qin Yu watched the darkness of the night swallow up the figures of the 6 people, worry flashed in his eyes. Since the Zhu family had taken the initiative to attack, they must have already made preparations. He hoped that Ningling and the others could remain calm and not fall into a trap. He placed Lu Feng on the bed. Qin Yu looked at him, hesitation on his face. He had obtained the power of the poison pill and had also stayed at the pill disposal department for a year. His understanding of poison could be said to be deep and profound. He could immediately see that the poison in Lu Feng's body was extremely ruthless. Even if he was at the Foundation establishment realm, it would still be difficult for him to resist the poison after being poisoned. He feared that it would soon enter his marrow and there would be no way to save him. Should he save him? At night, he didn't doubt the might of the foot of sea blue light. As Qin Yu was hesitating, he suddenly heard a light cracking sound in his ears. His complexion didn't change, as if he hadn't noticed it at all. Soon, several wisps of light, fog, floated into the room through the window. Qin Yu stuffily coughed and fell to the ground. After several more breaths of time, for figures leapt in through the window. The one leading them was a man and a woman. They pulled down their scarves and looked around the room, their expressions grim. What disciples of large sects? They are only Soso. I easily killed 2 of them. The youth had a smug expression. The woman frowned. Don't waste time. Kill them. Yes, miss. The 2 servants diabolically grinned. They raised their blades and separately moved towards Qin Yu and Lu Feng. In the next moment, there was the sound of breaking air. The heads of the 2 Zhu family servants flew into the air, blood gushing out like fountains. A trace of fear appeared on the young man's face. The young miss of the Zhu family didn't hesitate to rush out, but just as she moved, her vision darkened and her body softly fell to the ground. Her brother's terrified head flew past her eyes, and her face couldn't help but turn pale. Qin Yu stood up, his icy cold eyes looking at her. The Zhu family miss screamed, "Don't kill me!" Qin Yu coldly said, "What arrangements did the Zhu family make? Tell me, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, your fate will be the same as theirs." The Zhu family miss hesitated. "You really won't kill me?" She stuck out her ample chest. "As long as I don't die, I am willing to serve you in bed." Qin Yu revealed a hint of interest. He roared out, "Speak!" The Zhu family miss softly said, "Father laid down a mother and child soul chasing array in our home." Her words came to an abrupt stop. Her beautiful head tumbled around, filled with disbelief. The needle in her mouth fell down. Qin Yu revealed a worried expression. When he saw Lu Feng poisoned, he had already guessed that the Zhu family was deliberately not killing him in order to disperse the strength of the Eastern Mountain sect. Now, it seemed that his guess wasn't wrong. The Zhu family clearly knew that the Eastern Mountain sect had come with ill intentions. Yet, not only did they not run away, but they instead attacked first. The Zhu family should have something they were relying on. Perhaps it was the mother and child soul-chasing array. Although Ningling and the others were strong, they might not be able to take advantage of the situation. He had to go take a look. Otherwise, if something happened to them, he wouldn't be able to escape either. Qin Yu hesitated for a moment. With a flick of his sleeves, he closed the door and windows. Then he flashed towards the bed. He opened his hand, and a foot of sea blue light quietly bloomed. The poison in Lu Feng's body was soon forced into his fingers. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Then, Qin Yu's fingernail cut across his body, black blood gushing out. By the time it coagulated, it had already turned bright red. He couldn't just watch Lu Feng die, so he could only say that he found the antidote on someone from the Zhu family. The dead couldn't testify, so there shouldn't be any trouble. Without further delay, Qin Yu placed Lu Feng on his back, pushed open the window, and leapt into the darkness, vanishing in a blur of gray. Zhu residence. This was a typical large residence with 200 years of history and a majestic aura. There were 16 large cowhide lamps outside that illuminated the area as if it were daytime. But the depths of the gates were completely dark, like the maw of a monster. And the strangest thing was that the entire Zhu family was deathly silent, so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. Qin Yu carefully hid Lu Feng on the roof of a house. Then he stood up and looked at the Zhu residence. There was only one thought in his mind. Something had happened. Logically speaking, his best choice right now was to turn around and leave. He would definitely be able to escape unscathed, but if he did that, he wouldn't be able to return to the Eastern Mountain sect. Moreover, deep in his heart, there was another reason he didn't want to face. He couldn't stare blankly on as something happened to Ningling. Qin Yu bitterly smiled. He took a deep breath and revolved the aura-restraining law formula in conjunction with the jade pendant. Then he stepped forwards and quietly floated into the Zhu residence, like a feather. He squatted down to reduce the force of his landing, making almost no sound at all. Qin Yu looked around and immediately frowned. The entire Zhu residence seemed to be soaked in ink. It was pitch black. Even with Qin Yu's amazing eyesight, he could only barely make out his surroundings. Faint traces of cold yin energy rushed in from all directions, drilling into his body through his pores. All of the hairs on Qin Yu's back stood up. This aura left him feeling a great dread. But besides that, there was no other attack. Qin Yu's thoughts raced. The thing that was releasing this cold yin energy should have been dragged somewhere else, so it couldn't deal with him. It was Ningling and the others. It seemed that the Zhu family hadn't succeeded yet. Qin Yu's heart calmed down. He revolved his magic power to his eyes, and his vision became much clearer. He quickly moved forwards, sticking close to the ground. The Zhu residence was extremely large, and it was also pitch black. It wouldn't be easy to find Ningling and the others. But Qin Yu didn't stop at all. He flew straight towards the southeast corner. This was because the closer he got, the stronger the cold yin energy became. The battlefield must be there. As he rushed forwards, he didn't see a single figure. The massive Zhu residence was like an empty house. Qin Yu felt increasingly restless. But at this time, several faint sounds entered his ears. His spirits rose, and he quickened his pace. In front of him was a small courtyard. There was a well, a scholar tree, and 3 blue brick houses with no doors or windows. A ring-shaped magic tool flew above his head, emitting rings of golden light. Ningling and the others poured their magic power into the magic tool, forcing back the surrounding fog. Shrill screams constantly echoed out from the fog. The cold yin energy was like a tide, tumbling down without end. Between the ancient well and the scholar tree stood a tall and strong cultivator. His face was firm and his eyes were dignified. This was the Zhu family's patriarch Zhu Hai. He was also the person that the Eastern Mountains sect wanted to kill. He held a golden bell in his left hand and a round altar in his right. The golden bell constantly shook. Although it didn't emit any sound, it could still control the ghostly shadows to attack. With his strength alone, he was able to suppress 5 people from the Eastern Mountain sect. There were also outstanding characters like Ningling and Su Wei. From this, it could be seen just how powerful he was. Within the golden light, Su Wei had a shocked and angry expression. He roared out, "Zhu Hai, if you dare to touch us, then the Eastern Mountain sect's golden core will definitely take action. There will be no gate to heaven or road to hell for you." Zhu Hai had an indifferent expression. "Since I attacked, I didn't leave any path of retreat for myself. Moreover, did you think that everything that happened tonight could be arranged in just a few hours?" Su Wei's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Zhu Hai smiled. "It's simple. The Eastern Mountain sect knew of my evil deeds, and they deliberately spread it out. If they didn't, how could they have drawn you here?" Su Wei paled. Chapter 21. Genius 1. Second, remember if you want to go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Zhu Hai's eyes blazed with heat. But I never thought that after casting my net, I would have an unexpected harvest. His eyes fell on Ningling, filled with infatuation. "You will not die tonight, because I will make you my woman and make you pregnant with my child. Then I will kill you." Ningling's eyes were icy cold. She had never felt such strong loathing and killing intent from her before. "Zhu Hai, you married a woman and killed your wife and children when they were pregnant. You took their blood essence, filled with resentment and hatred, to cultivate, and even controlled their souls to transform into ghosts. You have committed such heinous crimes that you must die without a grave." Zhu Hai nodded. "I admit that everything you say is correct, but I will not die. The ones who will die are them." The golden bell in his hand shook even faster. The ghostly screams in the fog became increasingly shrill, and a cold aura crazily rushed in from all directions. In the air, the ring-shaped magic tool teetered on the verge of collapse. Senior apprentice, Brother Su Wei, what do we do? I don't want to die. Lin cried out in panic. Su Wei clenched his teeth, desperately stimulating his magic power. He looked at Ningling. As Huang Donggui's direct disciple, he faintly knew some things about Ningling. Now, if there was any chance of survival, it would be on her. Suddenly, Ningling stepped forwards, stepping out of the range of the golden light. The ghosts hiding in the fog howled and rushed out. Beneath the shining golden light, one could see that they were fierce-looking women with disheveled hair. Their abdomens had burst open, and small black hands and feet constantly drilled out, tearing at their wounds as if they were venting their anger, causing the women's pain to become even more violent. The souls that had transformed into ghosts were filled with the desire to destroy all flesh and blood living beings. But before they could approach, they emitted pitiful screams and fled in fear, their bodies emitting black smoke. At this time, Ning Ling pointed out a finger. A dazzling golden light held out, and her eyes darkened. It was clear that this strike had consumed a great deal of her strength. Zhu Hai's complexion changed. He flicked his sleeves, and a mass of black energy shot out. But in front of the golden light, it was easily pierced through like a bubble. The golden light sunk into his chest. With a deep roar, Zhu Hai's body twisted. The golden light that should have blown his chest to pieces was actually diverted to his right arm by some unknown method. Bang! His right arm shattered, but before that happened, Zhu Hai had already thrown the round altar in his hand. It crashed into the fog and rolled a few times before falling to the ground. The women and ghosts that were attacking Ningling suddenly recklessly rushed towards the round altar. The gray surface of the round altar shined with light, piercing through their bodies like arrows. They screamed in fear as they retreated. Zhu Hai's face was pale, but he laughed. This is your final trump card, right? Since you can't kill me, accept your fate. The next moment, his smile froze on his face. His stumbling figure rushed through the cold fog. Because he was pushed back by the light, the ghost of the woman could not stop him from entering. Senior apprentice, Sister Ning, save me. Qin Yu had a panicked expression. He screamed as he ran, but as luck would have it, he stepped on the round altar. Crash! An ear-piercing, shattering sound spread into everyone's ears as Qin Yu fell to the ground. Zhu Hai's face was instantly filled with fear. No. He crazily shook the golden bell, but he wasn't able to stop it at all. The thick fog submerged his figure. The women and ghosts stared at him, surrounding him from all directions. From the wounds on their abdomens, fist-sized heads drilled out. They giggled and vaguely called out, "Father! Father! Ah!" Pitiful screams echoed out from the fog, accompanied by the sound of chewing and swallowing that made one's scalp tingle. It was easy to imagine just what sort of scene was occurring inside. Ning Ling glanced at the confused Qin Yu. Let's go. No one hesitated. They left the Zhu family as quickly as possible. It was only when they left the dark mansion that they relaxed a little. Their eyes fell on Qin Yu. Although they couldn't help but sigh at his dog's hit luck, they couldn't help but admit that the reason they were able to survive was because of him. This caused their gazes to become a bit complex. In particular, Su Wei. He felt an inexplicable anger deep in his heart, but he had no way to vent it. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn to the next page. Where is Lu Feng? Someone impatiently broke the silence. He didn't like the way everyone looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu was a bit flustered. Someone was chasing us just now. I had no choice but to hide Senior Apprentice, Brother Lu Feng, on the roof of a house. Su Wei's eyes narrowed. You abandoned your fellow disciple and ran away alone? Qin Yu, how bold of you! Lin, Zhang Zhe, and Fan Ping were startled. As they looked at Qin Yu, their eyes filled with disdain once more. Even if he had some dog's hit luck that saved them, just the fact that he abandoned his fellow disciple was despicable. Ningling furrowed her eyebrows. Let's not talk about this. Let's find Lu Feng first. Qin Yu nodded again and again. He turned and rushed into the darkness, soon returning with Lu Feng on his back. Su Wei swept his eyes around and was startled. The poison in his body has been cured? Qin Yu revealed a smug expression. I killed a Zhu family cultivator. I never thought he would have an antidote on him. After senior apprentice brother Lu Feng took it, he was fine. This result left the several people speechless. He had casually killed a Zhu family member and found an antidote. But when they rushed into the Zhu mansion, they were nearly trapped to death. This brought Qin Yu. His luck was so good it left one envious. Ningling's eyes deepened. Was all of this really just a coincidence? Qin Yu's figure blurred once more, as if he were shrouded in a layer of fog, inexplicably obscure. When the sun rose, the residents of Western Pass City were alarmed to discover that the entire Zhu mansion was deserted. There was only a courtyard in the southeast corner that had large patches of blood scattered all over the ground. Following the blood, they found a dry well. After digging it up, they found the corpses of 17 women, each one with a thin skeleton in their belly. And what was even more horrifying was that the mouths of the women and infants were dripping with blood, as if their flesh and blood had been torn apart. The residents scattered in panic. Soon, a great fire ignited, and the Zhu mansion that had been illustrious for 200 years was burned to the ground. At this time, the group of 7 from the Eastern Mountain sect had already stepped onto the road back. Unlike when they came, they were extremely quiet. Qin Yu had already read through the dossier regarding the Zhu mansion. His heart chilled, and he was a bit lost. Zhu Hai, in order to increase his cultivation, he had killed his wife and children and refined their souls. Could this be the cruel and bloody cultivation that Song Mengzi had mentioned in his ancient texts? Moreover, before he lured the Eastern Mountain sect disciples here, he had killed everyone in the Zhu mansion besides Zhu Hai and his 2 children. All of his relatives had been killed to serve as food for the evil ghosts. Just what sort of callous heart was this? If the road of immortal cultivation was to turn one into such a person, someone who would use any means necessary to achieve their goals, even someone who would obliterate all humanity, then it was fine if such an immortal didn't cultivate. Qin Yu, who had just entered the temple of cultivation at the Foundation establishment realm, made an oath in his heart that he would never become such a person. Ningling's eyes swept over Qin Yu's furrowed eyebrows and relaxed eyebrows. It was unknown what she was thinking, but she was at a loss. Suddenly, Qin Yu let out a deep breath, as if he wanted to expel all the frustrations in his heart. He looked up, his eyes shining. After experiencing the matters of the Zhu mansion, his mind had become even stronger and his will firmer. His entire temperament had quietly changed. His eyes met Ningling's. Before Qin Yu could respond, she had already turned her head away. The light illuminated her beautiful ears, causing them to flush red. Ningling tried her best to maintain her calm, but her heart raced. A tingling feeling rippled through her, causing her to feel a bit flustered. They silently walked forwards. It wasn't until the next day that they could see the entrance to the Eastern Mountain sect in the distance that they relaxed. Lu Feng had narrowly escaped death. Even though he knew everything that happened that night, he was still inexplicably grateful to Qin Yu for abandoning him. This was because without Qin Yu, he would have died long ago. Junior apprentice, brother Qin Yu, if there is anything you need me for in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. Old Lu will not refuse. This man from Lu Feng was honest and sincere, causing one's heart to warm. Qin Yu smiled and nodded, feeling gratified by his decision to save him. As they neared the entrance, there was a cry for help in front of them. Mountain spirit, water monster, as the name implied, was an aquatic life on the mountain. In its ignorance, it had developed its spiritual wisdom and breathed in the spiritual energy of the heavens and earth, becoming a spirit monster. In the dense forest, the one running away in panic was a mountain girl, carrying a chopping wood knife. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. The knife slashed left and right, blocking the branches and roots that curled up behind her. Chasing behind her was an ancient wood spirit. It had the appearance of a withered wooden stake and was constantly roaring. Suddenly, the escaping woman's eyes lit up with joy. She cried out again and again, "Immortal Master, save me! Immortal Master, save me!" She looked up and could clearly see that beneath the coarse hemp skirt was a person that could move one's heart and soul. In particular, because she was running all the way here, her clothes were half undone, revealing a tender and alluring pink skin. Su Wei roared out, "Where did this spirit monster come from? How dare you harm mortals? Hurry up and stop!" He formed a law formula and flicked his sleeves. With a dull thud, a deep cut appeared on the ancient wood spirit's body. It held in pain. However, it was at this moment that the woman who had just relaxed was wrapped up by several branches. She screamed and was pulled away. The ancient wood spirit turned to flee. Su Wei was enraged. "Stop it!" Shwa, shwa, with Su Wei in the lead, 5 figures surrounded the ancient wood spirit. Ning Ling was surprised. She glanced over and saw that Qin Yu was frowning and didn't seem to have any intention of helping. And at this time the battle between Su Wei's group of 5 and the ancient wood spirit had already erupted. The ancient wood spirit roared out loud. The earth violently shook and shattered. Countless thick roots shot out, blotting out the skies and falling down. And what was even more terrifying was that all the great trees in a 500-meter radius broke out of the earth. Their roots wove together to form a giant foot that rumbled towards the battlefield. Su Wei was enraged. He never thought that a mere ancient wood spirit would be so fierce. He clenched his teeth and shot out a black ball that fell on the ancient wood spirit. With a loud explosion, the ancient wood spirit began to burn. The morale of the several people rose. Just as they were about to kill it in a single go, the ancient wood spirit's body suddenly turned green, and the flames rapidly extinguished. The injured ancient wood spirit became even crazier. More and more roots broke out of the earth, surging out like an endless tide. The great trees moved even faster. The earth shook and mountains shook. They were about to surround Su Wei and the others. They were in imminent danger. Senior apprentice, Sister Ning. Su Wei couldn't care about face anymore. He loudly called out for help. Ning Ling's figure moved. As she heard Qin Yu's voice, she said, "Be careful." From the corner of her eyes, she could see Qin Yu's head lowered, as if he hadn't said those words just now. Ning Ling nodded. She lifted her hand, and a veil flew out from her sleeve. It rose up to 100 feet long and wrapped around the countless roots. It rapidly tightened and broke apart. Su Wei and the others let out a breath of relief and loudly cheered. Their eyes occasionally swept over Qin Yu, all of them filled with contempt. Even if he had some luck, he was nothing more than a coward. What was there to be afraid of? With Ning Ling joining the fray and the help of the Veil magic tool, the crisis on the battlefield was resolved. Su Wei and the others mercilessly beat up the ancient wood spirit, gaining the upper hand for a time. The ancient wood spirit's entire body was covered with wounds. Before long, it would be cut down where it stood. Suddenly, the ancient wood spirit howled and threw away the woman it had captured. Ning Ling's thoughts stirred. The veil magic tool wrapped around her, but in the next moment, there was an ear-piercing tearing sound. With a stuffy cough, Ning Ling's complexion paled. The veil quickly shrank back into her sleeves. It had been torn apart. Roar! The ancient wood spirit reared its head back and roared. Its body erupted with a rich green divine light, and the overwhelming roots that came crashing down turned green. They wove together, forming a giant cage that locked Ning Ling and the others within. The woman flipped over and landed on the ground. She covered her mouth and giggled. Such a good treasure. It's quite sad to see it destroyed. The black saber in her hand seemed as if it could even swallow light. Ah! With a scream, Chinyu turned and fled. The woman's smile widened. I never thought that there would be someone like him amongst you disciples of famous sections. Don't worry. Big Sister will treat everyone equally and won't let him go. With a light step, the woman turned into a gray shadow, leaving behind a string of giggles. Amu, look after them. Don't leave a single one behind. One in front, one behind. In several breaths of time, Chinyu and the woman vanished from sight. Su Wei cursed out loud, his words filled with endless malice towards Chinyu's escape. Lin Lin, Zhang Zhe, and the others were panic-stricken and also revealed a deep loathing. Ning Ling didn't say a word. She lowered her head so no one could see her expression, nor did they know that deep in her eyes there was relief, gratitude, and anxiety. Chapter 22. Genius in 1 second. Remember, love, go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Strong winds blew against his face. Gale's step was displayed to the limit. Chinyu had a dignified expression, and countless thoughts raced through his mind. Without warning, he fell to the ground and rolled to the side, just in time to avoid the black icicles that stabbed into the ground and the ice that spread outwards. With a charming laugh, the woman's figure appeared in front of him. Her eyes brightened. I thought that you really were a boy that turned and ran for his life. It seems that Big Sister has underestimated you. Chinyu smiled. Big Sister is too serious. The woman's smile became even more beautiful. Tell me, how did you see through my flaws? Chinyu lifted a hand and pointed. Big Sister's palm is specially made with calluses, completely in line with the characteristics of mountain women who work all year round. But although the back of Big Sister's hand is black, there aren't any scars at all. I used to cut firewood, so I know that the back of the hand is more likely to be injured than the palm. He paused for a moment, and his eyes heated up. Of course. Big Sister's chest is also a flaw. Your skin is white and delicate like ice and snow. How could a mountain woman reach this step? The woman's eyes filled with praise. Little brother is so smart. This Big Sister doesn't have the heart to kill you, but I have a mission to complete, so I can only hold back my tears. Little brother, rest assured that even if you are poisoned by Big Sister, you won't feel any pain. Just close your eyes and everything will be over. At some unknown time, the icicles that stabbed into the ground had mostly dissipated. Faint traces of black energy wrapped around Chinyu's calf like living creatures. His complexion changed, revealing a look of anger. With a stuffy cough, his aura rapidly weakened. The woman floated over. Remember, Big Sister's name is Yu Chi. The black knife cut towards Chinyu's neck. Suddenly, the woman cried out in alarm. She raised the knife in front of her. With a light bang, several cold lights splashed out and a long wound appeared between her eyebrows. Between her snow-white eyebrows, there was a touch of red. Her face was actually a disguise. It wasn't her true appearance at all. The woman didn't retreat, but advanced instead. Her eyes were ice cold without the least bit of warmth. The knife continued to cut towards Chinyu. Suddenly, her body stiffened and a pained expression crossed her face. Bang! The ground caved in and dust rose up. Chinyu rushed forwards like a vicious beast. Without any mercy in his heart, his fist smashed into her soft abdomen. Yu Chi floated backwards, spitting out a small mouthful of blood as she landed on the ground. The blood was actually suffused with a purple hue, and the killing intent in her eyes soared. But at this moment, there was a heaven-shaking explosion behind her, and a surging hot aura soared into the sky, burning the sky red. Her complexion changed. Without hesitation, Yu Chi turned and left. There is no cure for the black ice poison. Since you have been infected, you can only die in pain. Bang! A cloud of black smoke rose, and she disappeared without a trace. Chinyu glanced in the direction of Ning Ling and the others. After determining that she had escaped, he rushed deep into the forest. He could not return now, otherwise he would have to expose the little blue lamp and he would die without a doubt. Soon a pale Ningling appeared. There were still fluctuations of strength in the air that hadn't yet scattered. But whether it was Qin or Yu Qi, neither of them was here. Su Wei landed on the ground, sniffed a few times, and his expression changed. Profound ice poison! Ningling's heart shrank. What did you say? As her eyes locked onto him, Su Wei stiffened. He hurriedly said, I have seen it at teacher's place before. It is indeed the black ice poison. He gulped. Senior apprentice Sister Ning, let's go. The aura of the black ice poison hasn't scattered yet. If we are infected, there is no cure for this poison. Ningling paled even more. She took a deep breath. You go first. Su Wei hesitated for a moment, but in the end he couldn't resist the fear in his heart. He nodded and quickly left. Ningling's mind was in chaos. She carefully looked around and her complexion suddenly changed. She took several steps forwards and bent down. There were a few drops of blood hanging on the grass. A bead of blood. It was a pale purple, interwoven with the grass, making it look slightly mottled. This was... How could Qin have escaped? Ningling's eyes turned sour. She suddenly felt empty, as if she had lost something in her life that was extremely important to her. As Qin raced forwards, cracking sounds emitted from all around him. Thin layers of black ice constantly fell to the ground, and even the air he breathed out emitted a terrifying chill. The black ice poison had erupted. If it weren't for Qin mortal body having a formidable immunity to poisons, he would have long since frozen into a giant block of ice. Bang, bang! 2 powerful auras exploded behind him. Even though they were separated by more than 10 li, he could still clearly feel them. Love, go, small, say, Netka since the Eastern Mountain sect master and Huang Dangui had taken action. The surrounding dangers would naturally be dispersed. Qin clenched his teeth, resisting the bone-chilling cold. He swept his eyes around and found a natural crack in the cliff. Qin flashed in and sat down cross-legged. He took out several poison-dispelling pills and swallowed them. The medicinal power of the poison-dispelling pill seemed to have been frozen. It shrank into a ball and could not detoxify the poison at all. His body became increasingly cold and he gradually lost consciousness. Qin guarded his mind, maintaining a clear mind. He was well aware that if his consciousness fell into darkness, he feared he would never wake up again. But in the end, Qin had overestimated his own will and underestimated just how terrifying the black ice poison was. As his vision blurred, he could only take out the little blue lamp. He bitterly smiled inwardly and then lost consciousness. The night was like water. A dim blue light broke through the ice. Under this light, the ice that was harder than iron and stone quickly melted. Qin Yu's figure gradually appeared. Besides his chest rising and falling, he had lost all signs of life and his complexion was frighteningly pale. Suddenly, his eyes popped open and he violently coughed, as if his lungs and heart were tearing apart. He spat out several mouthfuls of blood, mixed with a massive amount of black blood clots. The little blue lamp had expelled the black ice poison, but during this period of time, it had caused serious damage to Qin Yu's organs. After a long time, Qin Yu stopped coughing. He fell backwards, gasping for breath, his heart filled with joy. He had almost died. If he had been an hour later, then even if the little blue lamp had dispelled the poison, all that would have been left over would have been a corpse. He braced himself and swallowed down several pills. Then he placed the little blue lamp back into his storage bag and closed his eyes, falling into a deep sleep. Several glossy green lights lay on the ground. These were several wounded wolves that had been fighting for prey during the day but had been defeated and driven away by another wolf pack. The burning hunger in their stomachs and the wounds on their bodies urged them to search for food. Otherwise, with their weakened bodies, they would inevitably become food for other wild beasts. Their amazing sense of smell helped these wolves follow the scent of blood and find the crack in the cliff, although it was some distance from the ground. With their amazing jumping ability, this wasn't a problem at all. But these wolves lingered around for a long time, not daring to attack. Faint traces of een and cold energy flowed out. Although it wasn't much, it still caused them to instinctively feel fear. Fortunately, the cold aura was continuously dissipating. The hungry leader of the hungry wolves had already arched its back and tensed its strong and powerful hind legs. The pain from a few of its wounds made its eyes look even more cruel. Bang! Its hind legs fiercely stomped against the ground. The wolf leader's slender and strong body drew a perfect arc as it plunged into the crack. Excited howls echoed out from within, as if it had found some delicious food. But with a light cracking sound, all of this came to an abrupt end. Woo, 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 echoing outside. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. The several hungry wolves in front of him turned and fled with their tails between their legs. Within the crack, Qin Yu let go of the warm wolf corpse and let it slide to the ground. He gasped for breath and clenched his teeth. Even the black ice poison couldn't kill me, so how could I die under your hands? But he felt a lingering fear in his heart. If it weren't for the black ice poison's aura scaring the wolves away, if it weren't for him waking up a breath earlier, if it weren't for his mortal body recovering a bit of strength, he would have become the wolf leader's food by now. There were far too many accidents in this world. If he wanted to live longer, he had to be careful and cautious. In the future, no matter what, he couldn't allow himself to fall unconscious again. Qin Yu let out a deep breath and struggled to stand up. There was no cure for the black ice poison, and those who were poisoned would eventually die. Thus, very few people mentioned the terrifying destruction it caused to the mortal body. The current Qin Yu was like a leaking bag. His body was riddled with holes. Luckily, the Foundation Establishment Realm Body Forging pills had a certain effect on restoring the mortal body. In addition, Qin Yu had some treasures on him. Otherwise, he didn't know how long it would have taken for him to fully recover. He took out a storage bag. With a flash of light, an alluring fruit appeared in his hand, emitting a fragrant aroma. This was the blue cloud fruit that Qin Yu had harvested in the underground medicine field. It had a miraculous effect on restoring the mortal body. After eating the blue cloud fruit in several bites, a warm current billowed through his limbs and bones. Qin Yu let out a comfortable sigh. For hours later, he stood up. Crackling sounds could be heard from his bones, and his entire body was filled with explosive power. He turned and punched out a fist. With a loud explosion, the mountain collapsed and rubble flew in all directions. Qin Yu retracted his fist with a happy expression. Besides the red glow from his fist, it was completely intact. The blue cloud fruit had restored his mortal body that had been ravaged by the black ice poison. After being destroyed and rebuilt, the intensity of his mortal body had risen to another level. The might of this punch was in no way inferior to a Foundation Establishment realm magic technique. In his battle with the witch Yu Qi, in addition to his experience with the black ice poison, Qin Yu had realized the advantages of having a powerful mortal body. He decided to cultivate the strength of his mortal body as well. In any case, his cultivation had been built up from pills, so he didn't need to worry about delaying his cultivation. It's time to go back. As he whispered, Qin Yu flicked his sleeves, stirring up a strong wind. He wiped away all traces of himself and then flew away. A disciple had been ambushed, less than 100 miles away from the mountain entrance. The entire Eastern Mountain sect was enraged. 7 groups of disciples attacked in all directions, turning the skies upside down. Let alone mountain spirits and water monsters. Even ordinary wild beasts were slaughtered. Everyone thought that the reason there was such a large commotion was because a disciple had been ambushed. Only a few high-level figures of the sect knew that the true reason was because of Ningling. When the Eastern Mountain sect master and Huang Dangui learned that Ningling had encountered danger. A cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Luckily, nothing had happened to her. Otherwise, they didn't dare to imagine what the consequences would have been. As for Qinyu, his whereabouts were still unknown. Although the two of them had issued orders to search for him, they didn't care too much about him. He was just a disciple with a bit of luck, no potential, and also a poor character. If he died, then he died, it didn't matter. What mattered now was how Ningling viewed this matter. Otherwise, if she casually complained to her family that they hadn't taken good care of her, the Eastern Mountain sect would be in great trouble. After asking about her well-being, Ningling's expression was gloomy and she remained silent. However, it could be seen that she didn't have any ill feelings towards the Eastern Mountain sect. The Eastern Mountain sect master and Huang Dangui glanced at each other and then tactfully bid their farewells. Ningling, rest well. I will definitely thoroughly investigate this matter and give you an explanation. The Eastern Mountain sect master solemnly vowed. Ningling nodded. She suddenly said, Sect master, do you have any information on junior apprentice Brother Qinyu's whereabouts? The Eastern Mountain sect master shook his head. I'm still searching, but listening to what you said, the ones who attacked should be demonic path cultivators. If Qinyu fell into their hands, I fear. Ningling bit her lips, her face pale. Chapter 23. Genius 1. Second, remember if you want to go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Huang Dangui had a strange expression. He pulled on the sect master and left with him. After leaving the courtyard, the old man looked back and frowned. Sect master, there seems to be something wrong with Ningling's expression. The Eastern Mountain sect master was startled. He slowly nodded. What High Master says is true. She seems to care too much about Qinyu. Both of them were intelligent characters. They could understand each other's thoughts with just a few words. There was a bit of worry on their faces, but they soon let out long breaths of relief. Huang Dangui sighed. I didn't expect this boy to have a bit of skill. Unfortunately, he doesn't walk the righteous path. The sect master had no expression. I will order the disciples to deal with him. Look for Qinyu? What was the point of looking for him? Did he want to go one step further with Ningling? If such a thing really happened, the sect master didn't doubt that he would be torn to pieces by the enraged Ning family. Such a scourge was better off dead. Just as he was feeling gratified, a disciple ran over with a happy expression. He loudly said, Sect master, High Master, junior apprentice Brother Qinyu has returned. At this time, the Eastern Mountain sect master and Huang Dangui felt their hearts twist. They wished they could sew this blind boy's mouth shut, but they had to maintain stiff smiles. The courtyard door behind them suddenly opened. Ningling was pleasantly surprised. Senior apprentice Brother Tao, he really came back? Her face blushed red, and she couldn't hide the joy on her face. She was as beautiful as a flower blooming in the sun. Tao Jia had never seen Ningling so charming before. He nodded. It's true. Before he finished speaking, a white cloud rose up beneath Ningling's feet and carried her towards the sect entrance, leaving behind two bitter old monsters. If Ningling knew about this, they wouldn't have a chance to do anything. Tao Jia, you really know how to choose a place. What are you looking at? Screw off. Huang Dangui stomped his feet and cursed. The Eastern Mountain sect master bitterly smiled. High Master, the plans of man are no match for the plans of heaven. Beneath the archway, after a brief cheer for Qinyu's return, the Eastern Mountain sect disciples began to look at him with disdain. To flee in the face of danger and abandon a fellow disciple. And this wasn't the first time either. It was truly despicable. Qinyu cooperated. He revealed an awkward and guilty expression as he lowered his head and forced a smile. At this time, Ningling descended from the white cloud and appeared in front of him. Immediately, the surrounding people respectfully saluted. Greetings, Senior Sister Ning. They all looked over, their eyes shining brightly. They all wanted to know how the beautiful senior Sister Ning would reprimand them. But even as they stared until their eyes were sore, Senior Apprentice Sister Ning didn't move at all. She bit her lips as she looked at Qin Yu, and her eyes were filled with warmth and tenderness. Gentle? The hearts of the Eastern Mountains sect disciples shook. They all cried out in grief. Senior Apprentice Sister, it's fine if you don't punish him. But how can you look at him like that? You haven't even looked at us before. Qin Yu felt that if looks could kill, he would have already been torn to shreds. No matter how good his mental fortitude was, he still couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. He awkwardly reminded her, Senior Apprentice Sister Ning? Ning Ling regained her composure. She nodded. It's good that you're back. After saying that, she turned around and left. She was afraid that if she stayed any longer, her face would turn red because her heart was beating faster and faster. Qin Yu wryly smiled. He quickly said, Thank you, Senior Apprentice Sister. His overjoyed appearance caused everyone to frown. What a lucky fellow. It's only because Senior Apprentice Sister Ning is so magnanimous. If he had fallen into my hands, I would have made him pay a heavy price. A youth said, indignant, Even if Senior Apprentice Sister Ning is forgiving, this fellow's reputation will be completely ruined. No one will be close to him in the future. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn the page. That's right. After all, no one knows whether or not he will be abandoned in the future. Several female cultivators stood together, coldly glancing at him. Let's go. I feel uncomfortable just looking at such a person. She turned and walked away. Her proud snow-white neck was like that of a swan, completely disdainful of a toad in the mud. Let's go, let's go. Soon, the area around the mountain entrance was empty, leaving behind only Qin Yu. He looked up in the direction that Ning Ling left, a bit more warmth in his eyes. Just as news of his return spread out, Ning Ling had hurried over. Although she had only said a few words before leaving, he could still feel the surging emotions in her heart. But soon, Qin Yu composed himself. Ning Ling was a proud daughter of heaven. Not everyone had the qualifications to think about her. For instance, him. The troubles of the world were mostly caused by people worrying themselves over nothing. Qin Yu believed that he wasn't extremely intelligent, but he wouldn't have thoughts that he shouldn't have. One had to know one's own worth. Several days later, the Eastern Mountain sect's wanton purge gradually subsided. Many residents of the mountain were grateful, and many immortal masters were merciful. The Eastern Mountain sect master didn't summon Qin Yu, who had escaped from the demonic jaws. Perhaps he didn't want to see him depressed, so he sent Tao Jie to inquire about him. Tao Jie could be considered an acquaintance. They had met once in the underground space, so they weren't strangers. As the sect master's brilliant disciple, Tao Jie had a high and lofty attitude. After asking a few questions and not finding any flaws, he hurriedly left with Qin Yu's made-up story. Qin Yu was comforted by his appearance. Thinking about it, no one would disturb him in the future. He could finally be a quiet and handsome young man. Cough, cough. He could cultivate in peace. The day before he left the Eastern Mountain sect, Qin Yu entered the pill disposal department and brought out the chicken overlord. Then he kept his promise and brought it with him to sweep through the flock of chickens around the sect. Because of his actions not too long ago, the chickens had lost their natural predator and were able to multiply to the max. But today was destined to be a day of suffering for the chickens. A human cultivator had brought along a bastard without any scruples about face and brutally attacked their flock, capturing the most beautiful little girls and wives. When Qin Yu left, the chicken overlord's eyes were wet with tears. It flapped its wings, and behind it were over 100 beautiful hens. It was unknown whether it was because it was reluctant to part with them or because it was excited about its wonderful chicken life that was about to begin. Without accident, in several more years, this mountain would be filled with the descendants of the chicken overlord. Thinking of this, Qin Yu's lips curled up in a smile, and his mood inexplicably improved. He didn't plan on returning to the Eastern Mountain sect. He might as well leave like this. In any case, no one in the Eastern Mountain sect would notice him. After the Foundation Establishment smelting trial, he could be considered to have officially stepped onto the path of cultivation. Now he had a period of vacation. He had to make arrangements with his loved ones and sever his ties with the mortal world. Only then could he wholeheartedly bury his heart in cultivation. Qin Yu didn't have a home, but he still had people he cared about. As the scenes of the past flashed through his mind, his heart began to tumble with anticipation. Auntie Gu, did you ever think that I would become the immortal you spoke of? Now it is time for me to repay you. Qin Yu's figure moved, but as he saw the person in front of him, he was stunned. Ning Ling said in a soft voice, I heard that junior apprentice brother wanted to return home. We just happened to be traveling together, so let's go. She turned and walked away. The mountain wind swirled around her skirt and her long hair fluttered in the wind, leaving Qin Yu's heart in chaos. After a long period of silence, Qin Yu couldn't help but point behind him. Senior apprentice Sister Ning, my home is in that direction. Ningling paused. A blush climbed up her face, making her look indescribable. At the highest mountain peak of the Eastern Mountain sect, two old farts silently watched as the young man and woman left, their complexions dark and uncertain. Sect Master, is this really okay? This chapter is not finished. Please turn to the next page. It's not okay, but we can't do anything about it. Huang Dangui had a pained expression, as if he had seen a peerless treasure being tarnished. Such a girl's talent, character, and appearance were all top-notch. So how could she have taken a fancy to a piece of rotten wood that couldn't be carved? The Eastern Mountain sect Master seemed to have similar thoughts. He sighed and said, It's fine. The 10 years of care have come to an end, and we can consider this as us withdrawing. Let them be. What if something happens? The sect Master hesitated. Only we know of this matter, so no one should be able to discover it. Let's allow her to live out her final days of freedom. It was unknown what he was thinking, but Huang Dangui nodded and sighed. Experience had taught him that when traveling together with a beautiful woman, even if it was a boring journey, it could still be gorgeous. Qin Yu remained vigilant towards Ning Ling's appearance, but he couldn't help but feel happy. Junior apprentice brother, what flower is this? Junior apprentice brother, what grass is this? Junior apprentice brother, what river is this? Junior apprentice brother, what fish is in the river? Looking at the earnest Ning Ling, Qin Yu wryly smiled. He cupped his hands together and said, Senior apprentice sister, just what do you want to ask? Ask away. Ning Ling stuck out her tongue. Her cute and charming expression caused Qin Yu's heart to skip a beat. She seemed to be satisfied with his small reaction, and her lips curved up in a smile. Junior apprentice brother Qin Yu, how did you discover that something was wrong that day? Qin Yu thought for a moment. In truth, it's very simple. Senior apprentice sister, do you think that a mountain spirit that has developed its own spiritual wisdom would harm mortals so close to the mountain gate? Ning Ling frowned. That's all? Qin Yu nodded. He thought that since he had told this to the witch Yu Qi, he certainly couldn't take it out and use it. Ning Ling thought about it for a long time. Then she faintly sighed. Junior apprentice brother is truly smart. When we approached the mountain gate, we subconsciously relaxed our guard, thus allowing the mountain spirit to take advantage of us. But I never thought that this would be the greatest flaw. Qin Yu quickly said, Senior apprentice sister praises me too much. Ning Ling blinked her eyes. Junior apprentice brother still doesn't want to be honest with me? Qin Yu was stunned. The Qin Yu in East Stream Town was confident, calm, and well-mannered. He isn't like what I see now. Ning Ling's eyes brightened. Moreover, there were so many coincidences in the Zhu family's matter. Could it really have been a coincidence? She stopped Qin Yu from explaining. Also, others might not know who attacked us. But I am well aware that with Junior Apprentice Brothers' cultivation, it was impossible for you to escape. So, when you told the sect that you couldn't find us for a long time and then managed to escape, scaring away the demonic path cultivators, that was all a lie. Qin Yu frowned. I don't understand. What is Senior Apprentice, Sister Ning, trying to say? Ning Ling shook her head. She earnestly said, I have no ill intentions towards you. Otherwise the Eastern Mountains sect would have already known of these matters. I just don't understand why you have to hide yourself like this. She hesitated for a moment. Moreover, I don't like to see you misunderstood by others. Qin Yu's heart trembled. He suddenly had an impulse to admit this, but he immediately suppressed it. He forced a smile and said, Senior Apprentice, Sister Ning, you really are overthinking things. Ning Ling looked at him and suddenly smiled. I'm just overthinking things. Let's hurry. She turned, a bit more appreciation in her eyes. In this world, there were many people who would forget themselves in front of a beautiful woman. She was confident in herself and had even deliberately expressed her concern for him. Yet, Qin Yu was still able to maintain his composure. This far surpassed many people. In any case, she didn't want him to admit anything. Accompanying him for a while and telling him that she already knew what sort of person he was enough. It was just that there wasn't much time left. She always felt a bit regretful. Chapter 24. Genius 1 Second, remember if you want to go? This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Ning Ling suddenly stopped asking. Qin Yu felt a bit more at ease, but he was also a bit confused. What he could be sure of was that Ning Ling didn't have any ill intentions towards him, so he didn't think too much about it. In the following days, Ning Ling was much quieter. She looked at the scenery along the way. A rock or a tree would cause her eyes to wander, and her beautiful face would occasionally reveal a bit of bleakness and confusion. Qin Yu didn't ask anything. He only slowed his pace so that she could see more of the beautiful scenery. Ning Ling was indeed a smart woman. She soon discovered this point. Junior Apprentice, Brother Qin Yu, aren't you in a hurry to return home? Qin Yu smiled, his expression light. I don't have a home. Ning Ling was startled. I am an orphan. I was adopted by others. The reason I returned this time is to repay them. I'm sorry. Qin Yu waved his hand. I'm used to it. Ning Ling nodded. She didn't know why, but although she didn't speak much, her attitude towards Qin Yu seemed much closer. 2 days later, they reached the end of the deliberately slow journey. What appeared in front of them was a small town with less than 10,000 people. Wang family. Looking at the familiar courtyard in front of him, Qin Yu stood there for a long time. He said in a soft voice, I've arrived. Ning Ling looked around. Rich but unjust. It seems that isn't completely correct. Qin Yu's eyes were cold. Perhaps, but that doesn't include the Wang family. In the past, if it weren't for Auntie Gu risking her life to protect him, he would have been abandoned. I don't want to see the Wang family. Let's quietly go in. Ning Ling was startled. She nodded. The two circled around to a remote area and flew into the Wang family. With the methods of a foundation establishment cultivator, they wouldn't be discovered even in broad daylight. They avoided pedestrians along the way. As he thought about how he would soon see them, Qin Yu's mind stirred. He couldn't help but say, Auntie Gu is a very, very good person. Although we aren't related by blood, in my heart she is my mother. It's been 8 years. I wonder if she's doing well. Seeing Ning Ling look at him, he awkwardly said, Senior Apprentice, Sister Ning, I'm just a little nervous. At this time his true feelings were revealed, allowing Ning Ling to see another Qin Yu. He didn't disguise himself, so he was real. Her heart warmed. No, this is the true Junior Apprentice, Brother Qin. Qin Yu smiled, calming down a bit. You have to know how to be grateful. The path of cultivation is fraught with dangers. I don't know if I'll be able to return after this. Once I've made arrangements for Auntie Goo and the others, I'll be able to cultivate in peace. He pointed a finger. We're almost there. After turning the corner, a familiar courtyard appeared in front of him. Compared to the past, it was only slightly dilapidated. Suddenly, Qin Yu's smile froze. Everything fell silent. A white lantern hung in front of the door, swaying gently in the wind. Faint cries came from the courtyard. Her heart was suddenly gripped by an invisible hand, and every beat became extremely difficult. A tide of oppression submerged Qin Yu. His eyes were sore, but he tried his best to widen them to make sure that this wasn't an illusion. Ning Ling said softly, "Maybe it's not what you think." Qin Yu took a deep breath. "You're right. Auntie Goo is the kindest person in the world. If someone's family has a problem, she will always help them out. This kind of inauspicious matter is something that others can't even avoid. Only Auntie Goo would agree to it. She's such a kind person. How could she possibly agree to it?" He turned his head. "Right?" Ning Ling's eyes were a bit astringent. She nodded. Qin Yu squeezed out a smile and pushed open the door. In the simple and crude morning hall, there was only a petite figure lying on the ground, crying her heart out. The thin and small coffin couldn't block his line of sight. As he saw the white-haired woman with her eyes closed, his tears fell like rain. "Auntie Goo, if this chapter is not finished, please turn the page." That rainy night, when he was hiding under the eaves to take shelter from the rain, was the woman who brought him home. The woman who was beaten black and blue all over, but still begged him to stay. The woman who sat at the head of the bed and hugged his feet until dawn. It was so cold that he couldn't sleep. The woman who always said that she was full during the New Year and looked at him wolfing down the food with a smile. Dead. She's dead. Qin Yu felt as if half of his body had been sucked dry. If he had to say how grateful he was, then Auntie Goo occupied 80% of it. But now she had died like this. She hadn't even given him a chance to see her again, nor had she been able to enjoy anything in return. Qin Yu suddenly felt regret. Why did he have to delay on the road? If he had come a bit earlier, perhaps Auntie Goo would have been able to survive. Qin Yu's complexion became increasingly pale, without the slightest bit of blood. It was like he was suffering from a serious illness, on the verge of collapse. Ning Ling hurriedly supported him. She could feel the unresolvable sorrow emanating from his body. Her heart ached and her eyes turned red. It was only at this moment that the weeping figure discovered that the light had dimmed. She looked up and saw the tear-streaked Qin Yu as well as the sorrowful Ning Ling beside him. She was subconsciously stunned. After a long time, she sobbed, "You, who are you?" Qin Yu's dazed eyes turned. After a long time, they fell onto her. "You are little Ling." In this short period of time, it was like he had been thirsty for countless years. His voice was hoarse like iron rubbing against stone. "Gu Ling," timidly nodded. "I am." She looked at him several times and then rubbed her eyes. You are big brother, you." Qin Yu nodded. "Gu Ling," crawled up and burrowed into his chest. She cried out, "Mother is dead." Then her mind relaxed and she fainted. Qin Yu held her tightly. The thin and weak body in his arms caused the knot in his heart to become even heavier. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Ning Ling was shocked. Qin Yu." Qin Yu shook his head. "I'm fine. Senior apprentice, Sister Ning. I'll have to trouble you to look after her." He carefully handed Gu Ling to Ning Ling. Then he walked over to the thin coffin and fell to his knees. "Auntie Gu, I came back late." I'm sorry. A man didn't easily shed tears, but it was only when he was sad." At this moment, Qin Yu was crying like a child. Looking at his back, Ning Ling couldn't help but let her tears fall down. After a long time, Ning Ling put down Gu Ling and walked over to his side. "Qin Yu, don't blame yourself. I've already carefully examined her. Auntie Gu died because her lifespan dried up. Even if you were here, there was nothing you could have done. This isn't your fault, okay? Qin, you didn't turn around. Her lifespan dried up? Auntie Gu was just over 40 years old this year. So how could her lifespan have dried up? That's right, the Wang family, Auntie Gu has endured humiliation and torture for so many years. It must have been this torment and despair that erased her life force. He stood up, his back straight and the blood vessels in his eyes flushed red. Auntie Gu, I will have the entire Wang family be buried with you. Qin Yu. Ning Ling grabbed onto him. Slaughtering mortals is a great taboo for cultivators. Do not be impulsive, that will kill you. Qin Yu shook his head. Senior apprentice Sister Ning, without Auntie Gu, I would have already died. Even if I have to pay with my life, I will seek justice for her. Bang! The courtyard doors were kicked open. Wang Gue walked in with several servants, his face dark and gloomy. What are you doing? Drag her out and bury her. What bad luck! His eyes fell on Qin Yu and Ning Ling. He frowned. Who are you? Gu Ling was startled awake. Don't touch my mother. She threw herself in front of the thin coffin. My mother is waiting for his reply. She is waiting for his reply. Wang Gue sneered. She is just a cheap maid. She was lucky enough to give birth to a bastard child because of the old master's drunkenness. Do you think she dares to dream of entering the Wang family's ancestral temple? Bang! He flew backwards and crashed into the courtyard. He vomited great mouthfuls of blood, his eyes wide with panic. Qin, this chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. You. Ning Ling hugged him tightly. Don't be impulsive. If you destroy the Wang family, you will also be destroyed. Even if you don't think for yourself, you still have to think for Guling. If you die, what will happen to her? Qin Yu stiffened. It was only then that Guling reacted. She threw herself into his arms. Big brother you, don't kill anyone. Mother doesn't want to see you like this. After a pause, tears flowed down her cheeks. Moreover, Mother has always loved that person in her heart. Even before she died, I hoped to obtain his acknowledgement so that I could be buried in the Wang family cemetery and enter the Wang family's ancestral shrine. Qin Yu looked at the woman in the coffin. He whispered, Auntie Gu, is this your wish? All right, I will help you complete it. He turned, and a cold light shined in his eyes, causing several servants to feel weak in the knees. Tell Wang Changa to personally welcome Auntie Gu back to the Wang family's main hall. I want her to be buried in glory. Several servants carried Wang Gue away, panic-stricken like stray dogs. They didn't dare to delay in the slightest as they raced towards the front courtyard, rushing into the reception hall where the old master entertained honored guests. Wang Changa slammed his teacup down. How insolent! Don't you see that there are honored guests here? Why are you panicking like this? Wang Gue fell to his knees. Old master, this servant has an important matter to report. He looked at the long-bearded old man sitting in the guest seat, hesitating to speak. The long-bearded old man had a calm expression. He lightly said, If that's the case, then I will withdraw first. Wang Changa hurriedly urged him to stay. Brother-in-law, there's no need to stand up. They are all servants with poor eyesight. If they have offended you, please forgive them. He turned and angrily rebuked, Brother-in-law is not an outsider. If there is something, then hurry up and say it. Wang Gue revealed a look of awe and joy. Old master, this servant was ordered by the madam to collect Gu Shi's corpse in the rear courtyard. I never imagined that a man and woman would appear out of nowhere and casually send me flying away. I ask old master to take charge of this matter. Wang Changa's eyes darkened. Gu Shi, is she dead? But in the blink of an eye he composed himself. He lightly said, Death is the most important thing. It must have been a domineering servant like you that was taught a lesson. Find someone to drive them out. Wang Gue revealed a look of horror. That brat waved his hand, and I was sent flying away, vomiting blood. He definitely knows some demonic arts. He shrank back and looked at the long-bearded old man. Wang Changa's face sank. I heard you say that he is a young junior with a bit more strength. How could he know any demonic arts? Hurry and drive them away. Don't be so long-winded. Wait. The bead curtain opened and a charming woman walked out. Wang Gui, I ask you, did you clearly see that young man's appearance? Wang Changa frowned. Madam, why are you asking this? Perhaps he is a friend of that mother and daughter. Friend, the woman coldly sneered. In these past years, I don't know when they had any friends. Old master, don't forget that when that cheap maid adopted a child, she sold him to a human trafficker. Who knows if he died or not? Wang Gui was startled. He clenched his teeth. When this woman mentioned it, I thought that brat looked familiar. That's right, it was that little bastard Qinyu. The woman turned and bowed. Big brother, if you don't dig up the roots, there will be endless troubles in the future. I ask that you help little sister this time. Wang Changa opened his mouth, but before he could say anything, he was interrupted by the woman. What? You still want to protect them? If it weren't for you in the past, I would have thrown that cheap maid and her daughter into the well. And that little bastard, how could he have lived until today? You left behind a scourge, so why can't I get rid of it? Do you want to wait until someone takes revenge on you in the future? The long-bearded old man stood up. Little sister, don't worry. Leave this matter to me. I want to see just who dares to cause trouble in your home. His hair moved without wind and a threatening aura spread out in all directions. He was a foundation establishment cultivator. The woman's eyes brightened. Big brother, come with me. She led the group straight to where the servants lived. Soon, a small courtyard appeared in front of them. 2 servants stood guard and hurriedly bowed. The woman coldly sneered. Did they run away? Reporting to Madam, not a single one came out. Good. Let's take advantage of this chance to eliminate all the scourges. The woman turned and bowed. Big brother, I'll have to trouble you. Chapter 25. Genius 1 second, remember if you want to go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. The long-bearded old man nodded. Don't worry. With a flick of his sleeves, the courtyard doors were torn apart. He strode in, his eyes like a tiger staring at an eagle. Who dares to cause trouble in the Wang family? Hurry up and die. The woman followed close behind. She pointed a finger and screeched. There is also that girl. She is just like her mother, a vixen. If she dares to collude with outsiders to cause trouble in the Wang family, then sell her to a brothel. In the morning hall, Qinyu patted the terrified Guling. It's fine. He stood up and walked outside. Senior apprentice sister, I cannot recklessly slaughter mortals. Then I should be able to kill the cultivators that humiliated my family, right? Ningling's face was icy cold. Of course. The long-bearded old man's pupils shrank. So you are people of the same path. The fluctuations of strength coming from Qinyu and Ningling couldn't be concealed from him. After thinking for a moment, he sneered, Tell me your names. If you have some relationship with me, then perhaps I can spare your lives today. Big brother. The woman cried out in panic. The long-bearded old man shouted out, I know what I'm doing. Qinyu's aura was weak, so he didn't care at all. But Ningling gave off a faint pressure. It was likely she was also at the Foundation establishment realm. Qinyu's eyes turned red. Why should the dead know so much? The long-bearded old man laughed in anger. What a good junior. You are so rampant. I want to see just how you will kill me. Bang, his aura erupted. This person had a 6th level foundation establishment cultivation. Qinyu stamped his feet and rushed forwards like a galloping horse. His speed was so fast that he left behind afterimages. The aura of a 3rd level foundation establishment cultivator stirred up dust in the air. The long-bearded old man was startled. He lifted his palm and magic power surged, condensing into a saber phantom. He was about to cut down, but in the next moment his body stiffened. A pained expression appeared on his face, and the magic power in his palm scattered. Spirit thrust succeeded. Qin Yu instantly approached and punched out. Bang! The long-bearded old man was sent flying backwards. His chest caved in as he flew out the door. He fell to the ground and spat out several mouthfuls of blood, dying on the spot. A 6th-level Foundation establishment cultivator had been killed in a single exchange. Within Qin Yu's body, there was a light cracking sound. His inner court robes began to flutter without wind, and his aura suddenly rose. After killing the long-bearded old man, the evil aura he released actually triggered his cultivation to advance a step further, stepping into Foundation Establishment Level 4. Ning Ling's eyes rippled with brilliance. As she looked at his back, her eyes were filled with surprise and praise. The entire courtyard was deathly silent. Qin Yu stared at the woman. "Who do you want to sell to this brothel?" "Ah!" The woman screamed in horror. Her eyes rolled back as she fainted. A fishy smell wafted out from her body. She was actually scared to the point where she lost control of her bowels. Ning Ling stepped forwards. "Qin Yu?" Qin Yu nodded. "Senior apprentice, Sister Ning, don't worry." A look of loathing appeared in his eyes. "Drag this woman away. She's dirtying my home." Wang Gui and the other servants felt their limbs turn cold, not daring to move. Wang Changa suddenly sighed and waved his hand. "Take the madam away." Only then did 2 strong servants tremble and drag her away like a dead dog. He looked at Qin Yu. "You are that child from back then, right? I really didn't expect that you would have such a day. Gunyang has better foresight than I do." Qin Yu coldly sneered. "She's already dead, so what use is there in saying these things?" Wang Changa lowered his head. After several breaths of time, he bitterly smiled. "You are right. She's already dead, so no matter what you do, it's already too late." In this short period of time, he seemed to age countless years. "I have wronged her. Kill me. Perhaps she hasn't gone far, and I can still catch up to her." Qin Yu's teeth chattered. "Do you think I don't want to kill you?" Guling cried. "Even before my mother died, she hoped that you would come and see her. Before she let go, she told me that she would only bury her if you were present. No matter where she was buried, she would always be a part of the Wang family." Wang Changa's tears streamed down his face. "Gunyang, I have wronged you, but there was nothing I could do. The madam's family had cultivators, and the Wang family needed support, so I could only give you the cold shoulder. Otherwise, the madam would have long since given up on you and your mother. Gunyang, it was I who betrayed your life. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn to the next page." He knelt on the ground and cried into the coffin. "Divorce this poisonous woman. I want Auntie Gu to be buried in the Wang family's ancestral grave with the status of the Wang family's mistress. Her memorial tablet will be placed in the ancestral shrine." Qin Yu coldly said, "Your Wang family's relatives must come to Auntie Gu's coffin to pay their respects and send her on her final journey." Wang Changa nodded. "It's what I should do. I owe her." He tore off a piece of his clothes and bit his finger to write a divorce letter with his blood. "Gunyang, if I divorce that evil woman today, I can marry you." The morning of the Wang clan, 10 li of white forest. Guling held onto the memorial tablet. Behind her were 32 people carrying a great coffin made of redwood. Paper money was scattered into the sky, falling onto the earth. Everyone in the town gathered on both sides of the street, watching the unprecedentedly grand funeral in awe. Qin Yu lifted the coffin. He didn't use any magic power, allowing the heavy weight to fall on his shoulders as he walked forwards, step by step. A gust of wind blew over, swirling the paper money and brushing past his face. It felt rough, like the hand of the woman in the coffin gently brushing past his face. "Lady Gu, please rest in peace." A grand funeral. The night was as cold as water. In front of the newly built grave, there were only 3 figures left. Qin Yu pulled Guling up and wiped her red and swollen eyes. Ling, Auntie Gu doesn't want to see you sad. Don't cry. Guling shook her head. Big brother Yu, I'm not sad. I'm happy for my mother. She waited her entire life, suffered her entire life, and now her wish has been fulfilled. I think she must be very happy in the underworld. Thank you, big brother Yu, thank you. Qin Yu hugged her. Silly girl, I am your big brother. No matter what, there is no need to say thank you to me. Let's go back and have a good night's sleep. If there is anything else, we can talk about it tomorrow. Guling was already in a daze. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to the Wang family. I will stay here to accompany my mother. Qin Yu nodded. All right, we will accompany Auntie Gu here. After several breaths of time, she fell into a deep sleep. Qin Yu held her as he sat at the top of the grave. As he looked at the burning incense and paper money, he suddenly asked, Senior Apprentice Sister Ning, why are you cultivating? Ning Ling was startled. She thought for a moment and said, I want to control my own destiny. Qin Yu shook his head. To me, destiny is too vast and boundless. I didn't know why I cultivated before, but now I have a goal. I hope that I can protect the people by my side and not be harmed by the outside world. I hope that I will no longer be sad. Looking at his back, Ning Ling's eyes flashed. She didn't say anything else. The night passed. When the sun rose high in the sky, Guling opened her eyes, a shy expression on her face. Big brother Yu. Qin Yu smiled. You're awake. He took out a fasting pill. Eat this. Guling obediently opened her mouth and swallowed the fasting pill. Her pale face immediately flushed red. Ling, what do you want to do next? If you want, you can leave with me. I will take good care of you. Qin Yu earnestly said. Guling thought for a moment. She said in a low voice, Mother's wish has been fulfilled. I no longer want to have anything to do with the Wang family. In truth, before Mother left, she already made arrangements for me. Big brother Yu, do you still remember big sister Zhang Zhang? Mother promised me to be big sister Zhang Zhang's maid, and she agreed. Qin Yu frowned. Ling, I can take good care of you. Big brother Yu is different from before. I know that you will treat me well. But if I stay by your side, I will only be a burden. Guling was a bit sad. She immediately smiled. Big brother Yu, don't worry. Big sister Zhang Zhang is very good to me. If I follow by her side, I will be very safe. Ning Ling said. Junior apprentice brother Qin Yu, what Ling said is correct. You have already officially stepped onto the path of cultivation. Bringing her along might not be good for her. Qin Yu was silent for a long time. He nodded. All right, I will send you to the Zhang family. After bidding farewell to Auntie Gu and leaving this place of sorrow, the atmosphere was much better. Guling also smiled. Big sister Ning, do you know that big brother Yu and big sister Zhang Zhang have an engagement? Ning Ling's heart skipped a beat. She maintained her composure. Then, junior apprentice brother Qin Yu is? This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. Do you want to see your fiancé? Qin Yu wryly smiled and waved his hand. Senior apprentice sister Ning, don't listen to Ling nonsense. We were both young and insensible, and we haven't been in contact for so many years, so how can this be counted? For some unknown reason, Ning Ling relaxed a little as she heard him say this. When she realized this, her face flushed red, and she turned to speak with Guling. Qin Yu's eyes narrowed. He rummaged through his memories from a long time ago and found a little girl with a ponytail chasing after him. Zhang Zhang, in the blink of an eye, so many years had passed. She had been a beautiful little girl in the past, but now she had grown into a slender and elegant young lady. Did she still remember him? Qin Yu faintly smiled. 100 miles away, They soon arrived at Little Olive City. Looking at the magnificent residence that was several times larger than the Wang family's, Qin Yu discovered that Zhang Zheng's life was much better than he had imagined. He frowned. Since the Zhang family was different from before, why hadn't they helped Auntie Gu these past years? Looking at the happy Gu Ling, Qin Yu didn't say anything. As long as she was happy, Auntie Gu would be satisfied. It's here. I never thought that big sister Zhang Zheng's family would be so large. No wonder Mother told me to come seek shelter with her. The little girl looked at the grand residence. After a moment of happiness, she hesitated. Qin Yu smiled. I'll knock on the door. Soon, the door opened from the inside. Although the gatekeeper had an arrogant attitude, he didn't neglect them after hearing their purpose. He told them to wait and then went to report. Ningling's eyes flashed. I'll wait here. I won't be going in. Gu Ling was a bit reluctant. Qin Yu could faintly guess what her scruples were. He nodded, all right. Ningling patted Gu Ling's hand. She whispered a few words to her and then walked to the side. Not long after, the gatekeeper brought a maid to welcome them into the Zhang mansion. On the way, the maid glanced at Qin Yu several times before hurrying away. A green-robed manservant arranged for the two of them in a reception hall, served them tea and snacks, and waited on them from outside. As for the maid, she left in a hurry. She arrived at the women's area of the rear residence and entered a beautifully decorated courtyard. Miss, I saw him carefully. That young man is similar to what you described. Moreover, I heard Gu Ling call him Big Brother Yu. After the maid finished speaking, Zhang was overjoyed. It really is Qin Yu. But soon, hesitation appeared on his face. She bit her lips. Qiu, do you think I should see him? After all, he is my childhood friend. Qiu was also a beautiful woman. In particular, her well-developed curves could move one's heart and soul. Her tone was as sharp as a hot pepper. Miss, you cannot be soft-hearted. If he sees you and is captivated by you, what will you do if he brings up the matters of the past? At that time, even if you refuse him, your face will be ugly. If news of this spreads out, it will damage your clean reputation. Zhang had an awkward look in her eyes. But if I don't see him, wouldn't that be too heartless? Qiu proudly looked up. Miss, do not forget what your current status is. The old master's cultivation is successful, and he recently formed his golden core. You will also enter the Rainbow Sect to cultivate. Just how honorable is that? If you agree to take in Gu Ling, that is the same as changing her destiny. It is more than enough to repay the friendship of the past. Not seeing Qin Yu is good for him. Otherwise, he will develop thoughts that he shouldn't have. Miss, you have the heart of a bodhisattva and won't bother with him. But the old master's disciples might not let him go. They might even harm his life. Zhang gently sighed. Qiu, you are right. She took out a sachet from her chest. The embroidery threads were a bit faded. She poured out a round jade. The jade was ordinary and slightly cloudy, but there was a layer of glittering paste on its surface. It was clear that it was often played with. Zhang's eyes flashed with reluctance. She clenched her teeth. Return this jade to Qin Yu. Say that you were young and ignorant in the past and ask him not to mind. Soften your tone and don't hurt his pride. Also, prepare a gift for him. Qiu received it with both hands. Miss, rest assured that I will handle it. Watching her personal maid leave the room, Zhang clutched her chest. She suddenly felt a sense of emptiness, a sense of loss. She had an impulse to call out to Qiu, but in the end she just sighed. Perhaps what Qiu said was right. This was the best choice. Chapter 26. Genius 1. Second, remember if you want to go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Qiu walked through the bustling courtyard, her face tense. The miss was good at everything, but she was just too kind. This sort of person had to be beaten to death with a stick so that he would never have any other thoughts. He had actually come to the Zhang mansion with Guling. His intentions could be put to death. As the Miss Personal Maid, she had the duty to help the Miss deal with any possible troubles. Qiuqiu's eyes turned. She beckoned a young maid over and whispered some instructions. Sitting in the Zhang mansion's reception hall, Guling had a restrained expression. Big brother you, do you think big sister Zhang will remember me? Will she like me? Qinyu smiled. Zhang is a kind girl. She grew up together with my Ling. So of course she will remember you and like you. When Zhang comes, Big Brother will ask her to take good care of you. As Qiuqiu walked to the entrance, she heard Qinyu's natural way of addressing her and the intimacy in his voice. Her complexion turned cold. Zhang, you aren't worthy of calling the Miss by her name. Qiuqiu became increasingly certain that Qinyu had come for the Miss. The last bit of pity in her heart vanished. Walking into the reception hall, Qiuqiu smiled at Guling. Ling, the Miss knows that you have come and is very happy. She is waiting for you in the rear courtyard. I have already ordered people to prepare everything together. Quickly wash up and go see the Miss. Guling looked at Qinyu with some hesitation, but Qiuqiu had already intimately pulled her over to a maid outside the reception hall and led her away. Qinyu didn't feel any ill intent from Qiuqiu, so he didn't stop her, but he discovered that this maid seemed to be hostile towards him. Qiuqiu turned around, her cold face revealing a bit of arrogance. She lightly said, Qinyu, the Miss asked me to return the jade pendant to you. That was only a joke in the past, so don't think too much about it. As she spoke, she took out the jade pendant. Qinyu sighed inwardly. He had already guessed what was going on. He received the jade pendant and nodded. It was just a joke to begin with. Zhang was overthinking things. This indifferent calmness made Qiuqiu feel as if she had punched into cotton. She felt an uncomfortable emptiness. She immediately became angry and shouted, How insolent! How can you casually call the Miss by her name? Let me tell you, my family's master has already returned from his cultivation and achieved the Jindan stage. My family's young Miss has also been confirmed to have outstanding cultivation talent and is destined to become an immortal. The difference between you and her is like the clouds and mud. She clapped her hands, and a young servant brought in a wooden tray. He lifted the red cloth covering it, revealing gold ingots. This is a reward for my Miss. Take it and immediately leave. Don't ever appear in front of my Miss again. Qiuqiu's words. Qin's voice sounded. Qiuqiu. Young Qin, Yu Qin was she, and young he had obtained the little blue lamp, changed his destiny, and reached the 4th level of foundation establishment. Along the way, he had built up a formidable self-confidence. No one had ever dared to humiliate him like this, much less a mere servant. But as he thought of Guling, he took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. He coldly said, The Zhang mansion's gold is too heavy. I cannot withstand it. I only hope that she can take good care of Ling. Otherwise I will never give up. He stood up and strode away. It was a long time after he left the reception hall that Qiuqiu regained her composure. She discovered that she was dripping with sweat. She had actually been frightened by this country bumpkin. She was both startled and angry. She clenched her teeth and said, Qinyu, just you wait and see. After leaving the reception hall, the manservant was astonished. He turned his head to look at them from time to time. It was obvious that he had heard something. The wind blew the fragrance of flowers across his face, cooling him down. The anger in Qinyu's heart rapidly dissipated, and he shook his head. It was just a little bit of the coldness and warmth of human emotions. Yet he had actually lost his temper. It seemed that in his subconscious he was also a bit arrogant. This had to be changed. However, how could Zhang be like this? Did she really think that he would die for nothing and force himself to fulfill the engagement? Qin Yu shook his head. At this moment, a young man appeared in front of them. He was dressed in a black robe and had a hooked nose. The manservant hurriedly bowed. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. It's none of your business. Go away. The hook-nosed man waved his hand. The servant hurriedly retreated. His gaze was like a mountain pressing down, squeezing out the air and causing one's heart to tremble. You are Qin Yu? Qin Yu nodded. The hook-nosed man's eyes flashed. He was a bit surprised by Qin Yu's calmness, but he soon composed himself, thinking that Qin Yu was just stubbornly holding on. It's good to have ambition, but you need to know your own limits. Do you understand what I mean? He waved his hand, and a burning hot aura rushed out. A foot-long fire saber howled out, cutting down a thick flower in the courtyard and burning it to ashes. My name is Zhang Hua. I am the adopted son of my adoptive father and the chief disciple. If you dare to appear in little sister Zhang's line of sight again, then you will be like this. Love, go, little, say, Netku. After he finished speaking, he didn't look at Qin Yu again. He turned and walked away, a bit free and at ease. The Zhang mansion's doors opened and then closed. Qin Yu stood at the entrance. He turned his head, took a deep breath, and let out a long breath. At some unknown time, Ningling had appeared in front of him. I thought you wouldn't be able to help yourself. Qin Yu bitterly smiled. I was almost there, but he is a golden core disciple. I don't dare to provoke him. Ningling's eyes turned cold. Golden core. She had never spoken in such a tone before, but as long as she did, it made one believe that she had the qualifications to look down on a golden core. I believe that the people in this mansion will one day regret their decision today. Qin Yu's heart warmed. He smiled and shook his head. Senior apprentice sister, it is too serious. Ningling glared at him. I want to see just how long you can pretend for. Qin Yu pretended not to hear anything. He coughed twice and said, Let's go. After taking several steps, Ningling looked back. You feel at ease leaving Linger here? With a golden core cultivator protecting her, she will be safer than staying by my side. Qin Yu had a calm expression. If they can't take good care of her, I will return. She could feel a rare, overbearing aura coming from Qin Yu. Looking at his back, Ningling's eyes shined with a brilliant light, but it soon dimmed. After leaving the gates of Little Olive City, Ningling stopped. Qin Yu turned around and saw her expression. He asked in a soft voice, Senior apprentice, Sister Ning is leaving? Ningling frowned. You know, Qin Yu shook his head. I only know that it is impossible for Senior apprentice, Sister Ning, to return home with me. Ningling smiled. Junior apprentice brother Qin Yu is truly the smartest person I have ever seen. Yes, I must leave. I must leave the Eastern Mountain sect and return to the place I should go. Although he had already guessed this, Qin Yu's heart still sank as he heard these words. His smile became a bit more forced. You want me to send Senior apprentice sister off again? Ningling wanted to refuse, but as she thought about how they might never meet again after today, she couldn't bring herself to say it. All right, how could Qin Yu not know this? Ningling hadn't even told him where she was going. He knew that it would be difficult for them to meet again. The two of them didn't speak. The atmosphere was so oppressive that it left one's heart aching. The pavilion was in sight. They were already 10 miles away. The two of them didn't use their cultivation. Like this, over an hour passed. Outside the pavilion, Ningling smiled. Let's stop here. Qin Yu cupped his hands together. Let's meet again in the future. Ningling nodded. She couldn't hold back the bitterness in her heart any longer. Her eyes turned red. She turned and said, I'm leaving. Shua, the white cloud lifted her up. If this chapter isn't finished, please turn the page. Qin Yu drew back several steps. At this time, he felt the earth beneath his feet tremble. A trace of fear swelled up in his heart. Without time to think, he shouted out, Be careful! Not too far away, the ground of the pavilion broke apart. The pavilion was torn apart like paper, and a black beam of light cut down towards Ningling. Its boundless might was no weaker than a true surging river. Its awe-inspiring momentum pressed down on one's mind, causing one to instinctively feel awe. Golden core! Qin Yu watched as the black beam of light fell towards Ningling. An inexplicable sorrow erupted from the depths of his heart, and he roared out loud. Beneath the black beam of light, Ningling's figure was like a snow-white flower blooming beside a raging flood. All of the tranquility and beauty around her would be torn to shreds in the next moment. But as the black beam of light crashed down, the white cloud beneath Ningling suddenly expanded, wrapping around her like a giant bubble. Although the expanding white cloud was torn apart in the blink of an eye, it was still able to give Ningling a precious chance to escape. She was like a fallen leaf, fluttering in the surging fluctuations of strength. Although she seemed slow, she was actually fast to the extreme. She flew hundreds of feet. Bang! As the black beam of light fell down, a terrifying 1,000-foot-long scar appeared on the ground. The soil was scorched black, and as it melted, it emitted a scorching heat. Ningling glanced at him, a bit of gratitude in her eyes. It was clear that Qin Yu's warning had helped her greatly, but in the next moment she looked away. As she looked towards the broken pavilion, her face was icy cold. Qin Yu relaxed, and joy gushed out. But before this joy could spread through his heart, his body stiffened, as if he had been locked onto by a vicious beast in the shadows of the forest. The sound of footsteps echoed out from the dust that filled the air. Black robes, black hair, and completely black eyes without the slightest bit of white made him seem strange and eerie. If one ignored all of this, he could be considered a person with a bit of elegance and temperament. I was lying in ambush here, but my killing strike was actually ruined by your hands. What an unexpected ending. Indeed, what the Saint Lord said was right. Even a little insect has the strength to change everything. So it is best to kill off all the little insects before doing anything. As he spoke, a great sense of alarm rose up in Qin Yu's heart. At this critical moment, he took a step forwards and shifted several feet to the side. A streak of dark black demon qi, releasing an ice-cold sharpness, slashed past where he was just standing. Even though it didn't touch him, the dense aura still cut through his robe, and it was dyed mottled by beads of blood. Cold sweat covered his forehead. Qin Yu instinctively stiffened, but he forcefully dispelled it. His movements became a bit twisted, and he retreated 100 feet away in a panic. Black Sky Demon frowned. Then he chuckled in a self-deprecating manner. I haven't fought for a long time. Have I really decayed? I can't even kill a Foundation Establishment Realm Junior. What a joke. Ningling suddenly stepped forwards. Dazzling golden light erupted, bathing her in it, making her seem even more noble and noble, like a goddess walking through the world. Her expression was indifferent. With the support of her formidable strength, her voice became ethereal and dignified. Black Sky Demon, your opponent is me. She lifted a hand, and a massive mass of golden light flew out. It was like a blazing cloud, releasing an aura that left one's heart racing. Not even a golden core cultivator dared to underestimate this aura. It was wild and tyrannical, as if it could even incinerate the heavens and earth. Black Sky Demon had a dignified expression. Facing the formidable bloodline strength of this ancient family, even he had to go all out. It had to be known that jumping ranks to fight and even cutting down powerful enemies was one of the most illustrious reputations of this family. The black demonic energy had an even colder attribute. This was because he was Black Sky Demon. His eyes were black and his sky was black. In a world without any light, without the illumination of the sun, moon, or stars, it was naturally cold to the extreme. The blazing golden light collided with the deep and cold demonic energy in the air. It was like boiling oil falling into ice water. The The violent reaction between the two could be imagined. A low rumbling sound spread in all directions. A powerful aura that could shake one's mind rushed into the distant forest. In the wilderness, no matter how powerful the wild beasts were, they all fell to the ground, whimpering and shivering. To them, this aura was like the might of the heavens,